whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Boy, that should get you fired up. A lot of nervous drivers about to climb into their car. Who makes the round of 8? We'll find out. The Command next.
Taking pictures, look up the Speedway TV. They're going to be bringing you that Atrium Health contest in just a moment. The QR code for that. Go to victory lane in our Atrium Health Winning Moments contest. This will be closing out in just a little bit. So if you haven't got
and bouncing on my mama's knee. She said there's only one thing to set your soul free. Wasn't no easy street where I come from. There wasn't no sleep until the work was done. That victory bell, one for the money, to another show. Please start your engines now and rock and roll.
It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Bank of America Roval 400. And for 12 drivers, this is the final opportunity to lock yourself in to the round of 8. And as you look from second down to 9th, those 8 drivers separated by just 22 points. Every position on the racetrack is worth a point. Alongside our crew chief, Steve Letarte, Rick Allen with you. And Steve, that's the crazy thing about coming to this racetrack as an elimination race. There are so many that are still in danger, but so many that still have an opportunity.
Yeah, some drivers are safe, no drivers are comfortable on that list you just pointed out. And that's what I see. You know, Kyle Larson, you're thinking 22 points should be enough, but over who? If any of these drivers have an issue, they're going to lose enough points to eliminate themselves from the playoffs. And then you look at everyone who's chasing them. Kevin Harvick, a champion in the sport. He understands what it takes. He's found this new blue-collar effort, and that's what he's used in the playoffs. I expect more out of the 4 team today. Yeah, only 9 points separating 3 drivers right there at the cut line. And you come to a difficult racetrack like the Roval. So many drivers have said this might be one of the hardest tracks they ever go to. Yeah, not a difficult, the most difficult. It's a road course jammed in a 1.5-mile oval. The infield races like a street court. If you get off track, you will make contact. Then you climb the high banks. For high speed and high braking, that usually leads to contact. So nobody is comfortable here at the Roval. Well, let's get them into a comfortable place. Let's fire the engines. We go for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, on August 26th, during the evacuations in Afghanistan, a suicide bombing attack of the Kabul International Airport took the lives of 169 civilians and 13 U.S. servicemen and women. Among the victims was Marine Sergeant Nicole G., a member of the 24th Expeditionary Unit from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Just days before the attack, Sergeant G had posted this picture to social media with the words, "I love my job." Today, our Grand Marshals will honor Sergeant G and our fallen by giving the command to start our race.
From Camp Lejeune, please welcome Nicole's husband, Sergeant Jared G., and her best friend, Sergeant Mallory Harrison.
Drivers, start your engines!
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Sonic. This is how we Sonic. And by Toyota.
Today, with so much on the line, there could be a lot of intensity.
The drivers always push as hard as they can each and every week.
Oh yeah, boys. How about that?
You just understand that the stakes are a little higher.
There's more on the line.
2020 champion, Chase Elliott.
Being able to be knocked out and removed from the fight.
Everything's a bit more magnified. Right now, every point, every position, everything can matter.
You have to control the pressures that come with the playoffs.
Every point will mean something. We have to bring that intensity level. A lot of the playoffs is getting hot right when it matters.
The electricity created by the anticipation more than noticeable.
Keselowski, Larson, both into the wall. Now he goes to the inside.
Oh, he's
and he's going to slide. Truex gets tagged. Ryan Blaney will win.
2 years in a row, the race leader has dove into turn number 1 and slammed into the wall.
He will get redemption on the Roval. Chase Elliott proves once again that he's NASCAR's king of the road.
Chase Elliott's going to do it again at the Roval.
There's another one. We're about to rock and roll at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Today it determines on who will advance to the round of 8 as far as the playoff drivers are concerned. Want to take a look at the starting grid for today's race, brought to you by Bank of America. Let's listen to where the playoff drivers will start.
Denny Hamlin, Chesterfield, Virginia.
Brad Keselowski, Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Joey Logano, Middletown, Connecticut.
Christopher Bell, Norman, Oklahoma.
Martin Truex Jr., Mayetta, New Jersey.
Ryan Blaney, High Point, North Carolina.
Kevin Harvick, Bakersfield, California.
Chase Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia.
Kyle Busch, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Kyle Larson, Elk Grove, California.
William Byron, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Alex Bowman, Tucson, Arizona.
And if you're new to NASCAR, just a reminder, those 12 drivers are fighting for the playoffs, but they're doing it with the other 27 drivers that are on the racetrack. There's 39 out there fighting to see who could win, and everyone trying to get to the front. But of course, the playoffs, the top 12 fighting for spots in the round of 8, which will come up next race. Let's hear from one of those playoff drivers. Behind the wheel of the number 4, Kevin Harvick. He's below the cut line right now. Junior, dial him up on the radio.
Hey, Kevin, it's the boys in the booth. You got us?
Wait, Step, I got you, Step.
All right, thank you, man. You know, it's been a long week. How much time have you spent with Rodney and the team kind of preparing for the multiple strategies you guys might employ today?
There's definitely a lot of options. It's actually been a short week with Talladega on Monday, in the simulator on Tuesday. And, you know, you try to go through as much as you can to make sure that you're ready. So road course prep's always a lot higher, you know, from my standpoint, to be ready. And today's no different. So go out there and see what happens.
All right, buddy, you're about to come to pit road for your pit road speed, so we're going to let you go. Thanks for giving us a little insight today. Good luck.
Thanks, Dale.
We're happy to have Xfinity on board helping us ride with Kevin today so we can see everything going on as he tries to get as many points as he can to continue to advance through round into deeper into the playoffs.
A few more updates before the green flag flies. Let's go back to Marty.
The only driver not named Chase Elliott to win at the Roval is Ryan Blaney. We were right on board with him with the Ford Performance onboard camera. And Blaney is in an interesting position. Comes in plus 15 above the cut line. They kind of need points and they need the win. So you can go get both is their theory. They're going to play for the points, the stage points in stage 1, maybe get a playoff point there as well, and play for the win later in the race tape. We'll see how it plays out.
Non-playoff driver A.J. Allmendinger only making his 5th start of the season. What has he done here at the Roval lately? Well, yesterday in the Xfinity Series, he won for the 3rd time in a row. And if he can come from 33rd today to get to the front and win the race, oh, that'll be a jackpot party. You can better believe it, Parker.
Right, Dave. For Martin Truex Jr., he comes in this race 20 points above the cut line, and thanks to Toyota, we get to ride on board with him these great shots. But when talking to his crew chief, James Small, he used one word about 20 times in a 5-minute conversation, and that was safe. He wants this team to play it safe with that 20-point buffer. That means following the majority in terms of pit road strategy, the majority of options in the restarts. He doesn't want Truex to take any risk. We'll see if that gets them safely into the round of 8, Marty.
Parker, nobody has less pressure on themselves than Denny Hamlin. He's the only driver in the field advanced to the round of 8 so far. The Coke Zero Sugar onboard will carry with Denny Hamlin this afternoon and give us the views from the 11 car. Talking to Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, he said, we are going to do everything, every piece of strategy to give us the win. That's all we care about. 5 playoff points and moving on to the round of 8, Rutledge.
Marty, everybody's going to notice those pink window nets today and the pink walls. It all started because a 16-year-old fan named Mason wrote to Kurt Busch, asked him to run this idea in honor of his mom, who's a breast cancer survivor. His mom, Stephanie, was here this week painting these walls pink with dozens of other survivors for breast cancer awareness. And fans, Rick, will be able to bid on those through the NASCAR Foundation and have a piece of that NASCAR history.
Yeah, going to charity. Those window nets, again, the drivers will autograph them and they will be available to the fans. So a great show of support there for those fighting breast cancer on this Breast Cancer Awareness Month. All right, Steve, we want to take a look at the Bank of America Roval 400 race breakdown.
It's been described as the most difficult track in NASCAR, 2.32 miles of road course in the infield, using most of the oval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway as well. 17 turns in total, 12 lefts and 5 rights. And when you look at the race itself, it's broken down 25 laps stage 1, 25 laps stage 2. That final stage, very long, 59 laps. It's over a fuel window, as we expect they can run about 33 to 35 laps.
And Steve, there's going to be a competition caution around lap 10?
Yeah, around lap 10, we expect to see a competition yellow, and also we'll be able to ride on board with some of these drivers, not only with cameras, but with the Whoop band. Whoop Live lets us look at the biometric information, heart rate, caloric burn, that activity strain. We see Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, 2 of our drivers, we're very thankful, have agreed to show us their information. Look at Ross Chastain, 141 beats per minute already. That's not physical exertion, that's anxiety and excitement as we come to the green.
And getting ready to throw the green flag is Ball. James Ball. That's right. Daniel Craig is here with us. We're looking forward to that. No Time to Die coming out, the most recent in the James Bond series. Daniel Craig gives the green flag. We're underway at the Roval. Still 2 by 2 as they dive into turn 3. Denny Hamlin surges ahead. Keselowski has second. Logano, his Penske teammate, tucked back there in third. Christopher Bell in fourth.
Christopher Bell in that 20 car, I think you need to watch him all day today. He has to win to move to the next round of the playoffs, most likely. Has good track position right now. I don't think he's going to give it up. He's going to be aggressive.
The 9 of Chase Elliott on the outside of that 19 of Martin Truex Jr. He's only 9 points above the cut line. How aggressive will Chase Elliott be at the start of this race?
Well, we're getting ready to find out, because side by side, there you go, Chase Elliott. He gave the spot up to Martin Truex Jr. Did not want to go side by side in that rear chicane.
Steve, 2 chicanes. If you miss this one, there's a spot on the front stretch just in the the restart area that you can come to stop. And if you miss the front stretch, there's also a penalty box there too.
Yeah, so we see as Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott go down in. If you miss either of these corners defined by that blue curbing, you could start, as you mentioned, in the restart area. You could stop 2 drivers left right here by the start finish line. And as yesterday, we saw a lot of guys really having trouble in the backstretch chicane. You could also stop there. Most important thing, if you miss it, stop that lap. If you don't serve that penalty, NASCAR will bring you down pit road.
There's Kevin Harvick in the 4. As you see, about a 4-car length lead already for Denny Hamlin. Once again, the only driver that is safely into the round of 8 with his win 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas.
Chase Elliott all over the back of Martin Truex Jr. All these guys trying to figure out exactly how much braking performance they have, how their cars handling all these corners, really learning so much, taking in so much information these first handful of laps, and gaining speed, gaining confidence to drive these cars deeper into the braking zones. We'll see these guys get a little spread out here, but as the race goes on, they'll get more and more competitive. restarts will get more and more intense.
Yeah, Truex losing 2 spots right here. Chase Elliott got by him, and now Kyle Larson going by him.
Teammates right here battling for second place. The 22 goes wide to get a opportunity on the inside of this braking zone, which gives him the chance to take that position through the chicane. Interesting to see drivers try 2 different lines into that final chicane on the front straightaway. Let's ride on board the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. See where he's at on the racetrack. Going into turn 3, downhill, over on the left front, really loose, Jeff. Then this is a fun corner, but on exits, you cross over this curve, you lose traction momentarily. Right there, trying to put the power down. You have to be very careful with the throttle.
Yeah, now turn 5. Look how the elevation goes way uphill, completely blind into 6. Cannot see around that corner. Now it starts to go back downhill, a sharp corner to turn 7. Use all the track you can. Now another sharp corner, very awkward corner because you have the flat and then you jump up into the banking of oval turn 1, which is the road course turn 9.
It's really important to get out of turn 8 because of this acceleration. All that speed carries you down this long straightaway into a very hard braking zone. We've seen a lot of wheel hopping here in the Xfinity race. Probably going to see more of it today. 2 big curbs on the inside and the right side. No curbs on exits. You get pretty creative here. Watch them run all over this little paint right here on the left. Do really what you want on that exit.
And this part of the racetrack is pretty simple when you're by yourself, but you're setting up for turns 15, 16, and 17. Way to the left, heavy braking. You see his hand move right there? That's coming off the bank of the racetrack. Huge curves right here. Now back to the start-finish line. A lot going on for these drivers on this Roval. Dave.
Chase Elliott moving forward from 8th starting position to 5th place. Now that's good news because listen to his radio transmission on the pace laps.
It's a pretty good lag on the throttle response for whatever reason. Let you know if that goes away or not.
Crew Chief Alan Gustafson thought it may have been low RPMs and that it would probably get better. So far, no mention of it since the green flag. So Elliott should be in good shape, Marty.
Dave, the one thing that surprised me walking through the garage area this morning is how so many crew chiefs had no idea how they were going to play this race strategy-wise. Steve, there's a comp caution coming up around lap 10. You, in theory, could pit there, make it almost to the end of stage 2. But all these playoff teams, they need points. But you have to give them up if you want to go get the win. So how do you play this race if you're a playoff crew chief, Steve? This seems like one of the biggest puzzles of the year for these crew chiefs.
Well, it's a big puzzle. As you mentioned, that competition yellow here in about 5 more laps makes it more difficult as we see a battle here between Penske cars. Man, Blaney had a little wheel hop right there. The one advantage, though, is that final stage is 59 laps, Rick. That's over a fuel run. So I really think you got to race stage 1 for what it is. It's 25 laps with points on the line. Stage 2 the same way. Take a deep breath, evaluate where you stand, and then change your aggression for the final stage of the race.
Martin Truex Jr. dropping back through the field. We see him struggling, losing positions. Have to hope that he's getting to this opportunity. Oh, look here, gonna lose him. Gonna miss the corner entirely. Got a corner car on his outside here. This 19 car not handling well. Can't wait for the opportunity to get to pit road and work on it.
Already a difficult start for Martin Truex Jr. in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Charlotte. It's the Bank of America Roval 400. Denny Hamlin's out front. NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers all race long with high-definition in-car cameras. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today. The 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT Performance Edition could be yours. Enter for your chance to win this high-performance Ford. Plus, get an entry for an instant prize, a $100 gift card during today's race. Go to NASCAR.com/Ford Playoffs promo right now to enter.
Eric Almirola in that rear chicane. See right here on the bottom of the racetrack, 17 alongside of him, and Eric just didn't recognize that he was there. Contact. He was running 20th. See right here, gets in there and just 17's there, and off they go. A little bit of damage on Buescher's car, but that put Almirola all the way back to 39th. One mistake, you know, at an oval, that's a caution. But here, they're going to do their best not to throw that caution. And here, you can see Parker, Truex still struggling.
And he has been struggling. And I thought for a second he'd come on the radio talking about brakes, but it was actually just a lack of rear grip in that 19 car. And as we rumble towards that competition caution, Steve, I got a question for you. If you're watching this as a crew chief, James Small in the pit box, knowing all these options, how to play it, knowing that they want to get stage points, do you risk maybe coming in and working on that car and hoping enough people pit with you to get some rear grip? I think there's a lot of crew chiefs that want to look at this first 10 laps, assess the car, but I have to think it's a tough call to make to come down and give up that track position.
Well, I think it's going to be an easier call for Martin Truex Jr. because he's not going to receive stage points running 13th. Only the top 10 receive points, and he does not have the pace or the speed to run inside the top 10. We look at the driver doing the work with the wheel, and on the right side, we see his feet doing the work. That left foot right there kind of resting on the clutch pedal, actually using the clutch pedal right there, a little surprise. And then you'll watch down this straightaway drivers, he'll give a little safety tap to that brake pedal right here. Make sure he has a pedal before he gets to that braking zone.
Yeah, as you build heat in these brakes, the pedal gets longer, the throw to the pedal gets longer, and if that's moving around or changing while you're racing, you really never can get in a rhythm of applying the brakes. And so you're going to pump that up to keep that brake pedal high. Let's listen to some 19 audio.
Thing does not do anything good. Yeah, copy. Got a plan. Just hang with us.
Got a plan. Hang with us. I mean, that's all you can tell the driver. He's frustrated, losing positions. He's in defense mode, worried about losing more and more spots, worried about his playoff situation. Great words from the crew chief to try to keep his head in the game. They think they know what they can do to fix this race car and help Martin. We've seen this before from teams. Championship teams will get their car righted and improved and working in the right direction.
What I do like, though, is it wasn't a bunch of feedback back and forth, right? I see it. I got a plan. You can stop talking to me politely, right? Focus. I know you have an uphill battle. Just keep doing what you're doing. Trust me, I agree with you. It's not very good.
There's another familiar voice on the 19 radio this week. You used multiple spotters normally at a road course, and they have employed former crew chief Cole Pert, who's actually spotting for Martin Truex Jr. as well. And so after stepping away from crew chiefing duties, he's back here to spot.
And a car right behind him, this 8-car Tyler Reddick. You mentioned it. This guy's driving through the field, maybe one of the best cars on the racetrack. Top 5 lap times deep in the field. That shows pretty good speed.
It does, as you mentioned. It's just very hard to make lap time navigating traffic, but the 8 of Reddick is fine.
Pit this time.
Oh, there you go. Pit this time. So we're going to see some cars come to pit road. They cannot take fuel because it's before the competition yellow, but all of these drivers are going to take tires, and there is a wave of them. Pit road packed, Parker.
I think Kevin Harvick coming down here from the top 5 position there to put those 4 tires on, just lacking a bit of rear grip in the 4-car, Dave.
Definitely rear grip limited. That was the word from Christopher Bell in this blue and yellow number 20. They'll get 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. His teammate above, Kyle Busch, guess what? No grip.
All of these teams, Rick, Noah Yellow's coming out in 1 lap as we see the 21 on pit road, Marty.
Yeah, you see Matt DiBenedetto coming down, and yes, Steve, you'll see him put on those 4 fresh Goodyear tires. They will not take fuel here because you can't do that before the comp caution. But see, this gives them a much bigger advantage when they eventually do pit for fuel, right? Because that would be a much shorter stop than everybody else's stop.
Yeah, or they just won't commit. They'll stay on the racetrack and know they're racing to the lap 25, end of stage 1. Remember, a lot of these guys that came to pit road, including Truex, they need those stage points for the playoffs. So these guys are coming to get tires now. They won't pit underneath the competition yellow, stay on the racetrack, and if people pit, he'll move to the front. Oh, big penalty, though. First playoff guy to make a mistake, the 20 of Christopher Bell. We talked about it beforehand, as now we see the 11 of Denny Hamlin also come to pit road. A huge penalty for the 20. All this great strategy thrown out the window with a mistake.
Yeah, we talked about it. Christopher Bell had track position, was going to do everything he could to keep it. Now it's going to all be gone.
Meanwhile, his teammate Denny Hamlin coming down pit road. Also William Byron on pit road in front of you, Parker.
All right, and William Byron here is once again 4 tires for him as all these playoff drivers come down to get these tires before the competition caution, Marty.
And you see the 4 fresh Goodyear tires here for Denny Hamlin. Comp caution has not come out yet. This was Chris Gabehart's plan all along. Come before the comp caution. You see them putting on the Goodyear tires. Kurt Busch also on pit road. He had hung around the top 10. Steve, we weren't kidding, were we, when we said the playbook was wide open for the crew chiefs today?
And right here you see the 20 of Christopher Bell serving his penalty. Actually an advantage to serve the penalty right here under green. As the field gets stretched out, he would lose more positions than at yellow. He would go all the way to the tail end. So if he loses 10 spots here, Rick, that's better than going to the tail end. This makes Joey Logano currently the leader on the racetrack. We expect to see a yellow flag here shortly. But it's going to be like this all day long. The field is going to continue to get jumbled up as you see Chase Elliott continuing to move through. He makes a nice pass on the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Strategy is going to continue to flip. The most important thing is just watch that running order. Understand that the goal is to try to be the leader at the end of the stage. Here it is, the comp yellow.
There's the comp caution. Joey Logano out front. What a perfect day at the racetrack. As we look at the Bank of America fan cam, the fans here enjoying a wonderful Sunday afternoon at the Roval. Out front, Joey Logano, Blaney, Elliott, Keselowski, Larson, and Bowman. Those 6 playoff drivers, they did not come onto pit road before the competition caution. You expect to see him here, Steve?
I do. These tires have definitely lost grip. Some of these cars have slowed down a second or a second and a half. I think the big difference is who decided they needed fuel. If you pitted before the competition yellow, you got tires, but you couldn't put fuel in your car. I would expect we're going to see another wave of pit stops here. We'll see who decides to come and who doesn't. But the people that pit now will have the opportunity to put fuel in it. So there you see Bubba Wallace, big win last week at Talladega. He's going to lead a group of cars onto pit road for fuel as we see Logano, Blaney, and the 9 of Chase Elliott stay on the racetrack. Marty.
And so pit stops taking place, but again, playoff drivers stayed up front. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by new Coke Zero Sugar, now even more delicious. Jackpot Party. Enjoy the authentic Las Vegas experience anytime, anywhere by downloading Jackpot Party Casino. And by Ford. Built Ford proud. The number 10 car of Eric Almirola has a special paint scheme for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, spotlighting Ford's Warriors in Pink program.
Mixed strategy. We have used tires at the front of the field. Basically, the top 7 have yet to pit, Rick. We'll see how this works.
At Geico restart zone. Warren Goodyear tires going into turn 1 a little bit quicker than normal. And we'll see how long Denny Hamlin stays back in the pack, or if he's able to use those fresh Goodyear tires to get to the front.
Mentioned the speed had fallen off in those tires, but you don't know if they're trying to take care of him. It'll be very clear, as you pointed out. Denny Hamlin on new tires seems to be being patient right here in the infield section. We'll see if he has the momentum when he enters the high banks right here. This is where it will really show up acceleration out of turn 8. Marty.
He's passed the first of those cars, Steve, that did not pit. Hamlin with new tires. So in the 10 laps Denny Hamlin ran. He fell off 2 seconds. So in theory, these 4 fresh Goodyear tires should show up quickly in this run. And Chris Gabehart told him, hey, our philosophy is simple. We want 1 playoff point. Oh, a spin by Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski around.
Get a point and go ahead. There's double wide coming here. Wait.
On road courses, the caution won't come out if you can continue on, and Keselowski's going to be able to continue on, it looks like, if he gets it fired up.
Went in there too wide, and we've seen this before, drivers. It's just not a lot of room. That's why a lot of people concede the position. Let's say, I can't tell. It looks like it was the 2. Oh, not too wide. I'm wrong. Contact from the rear bumper, the 48.
Luckily, Bowman's able to get by. Doesn't look like there was contact between him and Brad as Brad spins back across the racetrack.
That's huge for Brad. He's racing for points. He needs these points. That's going to put him in a position he's not going to get any stage points.
Yeah, some of these teams definitely, I talked to Harvick. He didn't think he could get stage points in each stage. He had to kind of pick, all right, is it stage 1 or is it stage 2? This definitely changes the strategy for the 2 team going forward, Dave.
It does for sure. The first 2 stages are all about knowing what you have for the 3rd stage. And I asked Jeremy Bones, the crew chief on the 2, do you feel safe with 20 points to the cut line coming in? He goes, I don't feel safe, but it's better than nothing. He would like to have added those stage points, though, at the end of this first one.
Top 10 at the end of stage 1 and the end of stage 2 will receive points. The winner of each stage receives a playoff point, which these playoff drivers can use as they advance into the next round. If you're not a part of the top 10, no points get distributed to your team at the end of the stages.
Look at this right here, battle between the 48, the 3, and the 17. Right behind him, the 20 of Christopher Bell. We saw that penalty earlier. He was able to serve his penalty, come down pit road, and he's all the way back up into the 16th position. Let's take a little look at his whoop data. 156 beats per minute on the heart rate. A lot of work at these road courses, shifting, turning both directions. A little bit of a break down the straightaways, but this whole infield section right here, drivers, we talk about how slick it is, so it's physical and some mental exertion.
Yeah, the road courses absolutely use up a driver physically more than the ovals do. On the ovals, you come off the corner, you get a little straightaway to relax, take a couple breaths, and then get ready for the next corner. You're working all the time. This is just like being in the gym, rep after rep after rep, corner after corner after corner.
And emotionally, that matters also. And Christopher Bell, remember, he had good track position, got caught speeding on pit road, had to serve the penalty, lost that track position. So now that puts him in a position where he's got to push even harder.
Ross's data right there, the 158 beats per minute as he's getting passed by Eric Jones in the 43. Ross has had some great pace here at the road course this year, losing a spot right there. That team's run really well. Expecting to see them to try to improve as he tries to outbrake at 99. Daniel Suarez right there, the back straightaway. Suarez cut him a break.
They'll be teammates next year.
Yeah, I was interested talking to Ross Chastain before the race. He said, my whoop data's not going to be pretty. He said, I have a high heart rate, man. He didn't believe Denny Hamlin. He said, that's not natural as low as his is. Look, there it is, 165. 791 calories, Steve. I mean, he has gotten a workout in already.
17 laps into this race. So, yeah, there's a lot of calories burned, and he still probably has 2.5 more hours of this race in front of him.
I saw him on the front straightaway before the race. He said it was going to be high. I told him it'd be 250 sitting on pit road. He's high strung.
The 11 of Denny Hamlin finally gets by the 5 of Kyle Larson. You can see some patience used. I'm a little surprised Hamlin wasn't able to get by him quicker with the fresher Goodyear tires, but now that he's by the 5, look at the gap already. The 5 kind of slipping those rear tires. You'll really see it right here out of turn 8. I would expect the fresher rear tires of Hamlin. Look at the acceleration. Definitely drives away from the 5, and now the 11 kind of sets his sight forward to try to catch up the 9 and Elliott.
Well, today at the Roval, A.J. Allmendinger's car sponsored by Jackpot Party. And for a chance to win AJ's helmet and fire suit, you can go to ajjackpot.com. It's pretty cool. AJ, for the 3rd time in a row, won the Xfinity Series race here at the Roval. And another driver that has had success on Rovals or on the road courses on the Cup Series actually won at the Indianapolis road course earlier this year in the Cup Series. Dave.
Yeah, Rick, that was the last time he was in a Cup Series car. And again, I mentioned just the 5th start of the season for him. So he was told before the green flag, go out there and have fun. You today are all about making this race team better. Remember, Colleague Racing is going Cup Series racing next year full time, not with AJ, but they need to get a handle on everything they can, and they expect AJ to give them a lot of data points today.
He's definitely making the team better right now in the 7th position here. Everyone's still chasing after Ryan Blaney out front. If you're new to NASCAR, as you watch today's race, follow along on Twitter at NASCAR Nation. It's a one-on-one type breakdown of what's happening on the track. We're going to explain key terms you hear on the broadcast and answer your questions. Cautions come out. Ryan Newman, the right rear tire completely gone on that car.
And he went for a big spin. He was in the middle of basically the oval turn 4 high-speed area. When I looked up, he was spinning down the front stretch. I can tell you, buddy, you had a flat tire. It snapped around on poor Newman.
Let's take a look and see how this happened. You mentioned Steve through NASCAR turn 4 up at the top of the screen. Blows the right rear tire. Car goes around, smacks the outside wall.
Just a great break. I think that was Brad Keselowski coming through. It's hard to say, but I could see the yellow banner on the windshield. Yeah, Brad Keselowski almost got wrecked by a wrecking Ryan Newman. That just proves no one is safe around the Roval.
Earlier, he goes around in the infield part of the course.
You can tell if there was contact on the right rear. Maybe that's how it got cut. And this is an interesting time for a yellow because in just a few laps, I was expecting to see another wave of drivers come to pit road, Rick, for tires and fuel. It's kind of part of that strategy to pit before the end of the stage. This is just, we talked about at the beginning, I call this one more intersection.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of intersections today where these crew chiefs can get on a strategy, off a strategy, on another strategy. So pit road's currently closed. When we come back, they'll be open. We'll see if anybody decides to pit.
Go full throttle with Wi-Fi speeds worth celebrating. Fast internet or a faster everything. Can your internet do that? It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Charlotte. Bank of America Roval 400. See the crowd? There's some, well, champion fans celebrating there. That's right, Chase Elliott still reigning Cup Series champion from his win a year ago at Phoenix.
You see the crews kind of poised and ready. I think it's big decision time. Blaney, Elliott, Logano yet to pit in this race. On the left-hand side, you see Hamlin and Byron. Those fresher tires, they were able to drive back up inside the top 5. Allmendinger yet to pit. And I think Larson back there in 12th. Drivers, you were talking about how he's giving up spots. I think those old tires were okay out front. But once you got back in traffic, man, you really were overtaken by a lot of guys. Let's see who comes. With no surprise, Denny Hamlin. He doesn't need points. A little surprise, though, that the 18 of Kyle Busch comes with him. He feels that tires are going to be very important, Parker.
And William Byron, one of those who was struggling in the left-handers, but really happy in this 24 car in the right-handers. As you see, they're going to do Ford Goodyear tires, Dave.
Tight in some turns, loose in others. Bit of a quandary for a crew chief to make adjustments on, but they're going to adjust the chassis and the air pressure on the 18 car, Marty.
Dave, I cannot believe the debate on the radio about whether to come, whether or not to come. Denny Hamlin, actually, once he came to pit road, said, I shouldn't have come. We should have stayed. We were sitting in third. Should have tried to go get that playoff point. You see Alex Bowman trying to make adjustments on that car, extremely free. Steve, the strategy is just all over the place here in stage 1.
We're going to get your notepad out. It'll be a test when we come back.
I'm taking notes. Don't worry. Busher grabbed a couple spots on pit road.
Denny Hamlin leads them off the pit lane, followed by William Byron, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, and Chris Buescher and Christopher Bell. Again, however, a number of cars stayed out. Jeff had a lot of different strategies in play here, and we're only 21 laps in to 109. Well, that's what happens, Doug, whenever they throw a competition caution before the, right at the very beginning of the race. It gives everybody opportunities, and undoubtedly, this racetrack does not have a lot of grip this week. This hot sunshine is creating an issue they have to deal with. All right, for the uninitiated, when we're talking about a racetrack not having a lot of grip, in layman's terms, what does that mean? I mean, the temperature right now, the way the rubber's going down, everything is making it where it's hard to keep back to the gas. It's making it where you're sliding front instead of just turning. So there's a lot of things that are going on there. This is the reason why people like Denny Hamlin and a bunch of these other lead cars are coming down and trying to get ahead of that. So that later on in the race, there's focus on, changing tires. Or like say Brian, those other 6 machines now rolling into the garage here. Let's take it through the field here quickly. Brian Blaney is the race leader. Denny Hamlin rides second. Chase Elliott third. Joey Logano is fourth. Fifth is going to be A.J. Allmendinger. Kurt Busch is sixth. Seventh is Kyle Larson. Eighth, Martin Truex Jr. Alex Bowman is ninth. And 10th is going to be McDowell. And Denny Hamlin gets popped for a speeding penalty too fast on pit road. So he'll have to go to the back of the pack here. So again, these drivers up front did not hit. They haven't pitted at all here in the opening stage. They're going after the stage points. Remember, Chase Elliott up front was only plus 9 points coming into this race. He needs the stage points, and he, of course, would love to have a playoff point as well by winning this stage. The thing is, he will have his hands full with the guys that did come down pit road and get 4 fresh tires. As we only got a few laps to go, they're going to be coming out. Brad Gilly, how about setting up the front 6 rows here as we get ready to restart with only 4 more laps here in stage 1? Chase Elliott is on the inside of Ryan Blaney.
Aerial coverage brought to you by Geico.
Crew chiefs have made the decision. Now it's in the hands of the drivers. We have Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick deep in the field. Kyle Busch will restart 14th. Drivers, new tires. You got to make them work. Go get some stage points.
Yeah, Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick both gave up about 7 or 8 spots by coming on pit road, but now they have tires. They both need points to see how far up they can get. They just got to get aggressive, and it starts right here on this restart.
Yeah, the very first lap, everybody bunched up. This whole lap right here, attack, attack, attack.
This shot shows how many cars are in front of you, Rick.
We'll see how aggressive these two get from back here in their positions of 14th and 15th. Green flag back in the air.
Look at A.J. Allmendinger to the inside of the 12 down into turn 1.
And then further back, you see Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick both making it 3 wide.
Bottled up there, 3 wide through turn 1. Allmendinger out front. Blaney finding him to the inside as they go to turn 3. Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 looked to the inside of Chase Elliott.
Here's the thing, even with new tires, you got to have a clear racetrack. I mean, where are you going to go when they're too wide in front of you? The infield race is like a street course.
That's the problem. There's a little smoke right there. That's the problem, Steve. Even with great tires, it's so hard to get by anybody.
And the 11 and Denny Hamlin was caught speeding on pit road, had to go all the way to the back, so he's going to be fun to watch to try to recover.
Chase Elliott gets around Ryan Blaney. Blaney trying to work off some rubber, some buildup or something on that race car. He heads to the braking zone. Truex trying to attack. Blaney to the inside. Wheel hops almost, spins the car out.
Oh, the 21 misses it. He's over to the left there. Stopped. Going to give up his penalty. You're going to see him rejoin Matty D.
You're coming up on just 2 laps to go in stage 1.
Chase Elliott's closing in on the leader, A.J. Allmendinger. Down to within 2 car lengths.
Oh, and around goes to 37. So Ryan Preece up against the wall.
Going to try to get that thing restarted, turned around, rejoin the field. Will stay under green. Great battle for the lead shaping up here. Chase Elliott wants this stage win.
Go get him.
These two have not been to pit road. Allmendinger, Elliott, and Blaney, the top 3, they have not come to pit road yet.
That's exactly what Chase Elliott wants to do early in this race, is try to get these stage points. He gets wide for a low exit off of 6. That puts him in great position to be over in this corner to be able to exit well. Now look where he is. All of that, all setting the car to the outside on corner entry, allowed him to close in on the 16 through that series of corners.
A.J. Allmendinger known for his great road course abilities. Chase Elliott has won the last 2 races here.
Further behind them, Harvick has gotten to 11th. Kyle Busch got to 10th.
Kyle Busch is trying to follow the 24 through. Ricky Stenhouse hits the curb, runs Kyle Busch wide.
Now Harvick's going to try to take advantage of it. 47 lost some momentum. Now he's going to drive it deep in the corner right here.
There's a lot of contact right there. The 47, you see that left front tire rub. If he's got a tire rub, he's got sheet metal on the car rubbing the tire. The 18 car probably has some damage as well.
Now the final lap of stage 1. Allmendinger has about a 4/10 of a second lead over Chase Elliott.
And how about Martin Truex Jr. in 4th? At the start of this race was complaining about his car, James Small, so we have a plan. Well, a pretty good plan. He has him in the 4th position.
He did come to pit road on lap 9. And now the top 2 separating themselves, fighting for this stage win.
AJ trying to get wide right there, got a little aggressive, too much on the paint. Side by side down into turn 7.
Chase
Crossover.
Elliott, yeah, Chase Elliott loves that move. He goes way right in that one corner to get left on this one.
He's going to have the advantage off the corner. They accelerate out of turn 8, turn 9.
Who's going to give right here? Will anybody lift earlier? They're both going to try to outbrake each other. Side by side, and this rear chicane is almost impossible.
And they stay side by side.
Chase takes the position away. Accelerates and drives away from AJ.
What a move by Chase Elliott. Again, coming into this race, only 9 points above the cut line, looking for 10 points right here at the end of stage 1. Through the front stretch chicane, Chase Elliott wins stage 1.
And behind them, here comes, you see right there, Kyle Busch got up to 7th, Harvick to 10th.
Harvick gets a point. Kyle Busch a couple points. Those guys, as well as Chase Elliott, they were right around the cut line. Bumping and banging going on. Logano sends Preece, and ultimately Chase Elliott aggressively getting by Allmendinger. He wins stage 1. Sunday Night Football on NBC. Josh Allen and the Bills visit Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Coverage tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America. And there's Duff, one of our guys. Oh, yeah, he's a Bills fan. I told him, I said, hey, I got Josh Allen in my fantasy league. He starts tonight, so he's hoping for the best there. Hey, Ruts, brought to you by Toyota, giving us a look at the Toyota Camry for next year.
I am so excited. This is my first time getting to see the new Camry TRD next-gen race car in person. First off, it's all about symmetry. When you look down the side of this car, it's completely straight. It's straight as an arrow. Up front, you see this beautiful Camry TRD nose with the grille, the headlight area. So much of this is mimicking the exact design of the Camry TRD street car because they were designed together. Something that's new are these hood vents. That's gonna help get a lot of that heat out of the engine compartment. How about gone are the 15-inch steel wheels and say hello to 18-inch aluminum alloys. There's only one problem though. They're missing 4 lugs. Wait a second, that's right, the single lug is here. And then when you see that dual exhaust, the sound of these cars on the racetrack is incredible. And this is the first time we'll actually see the Camry TRD name on the racetrack, just like what you can get at your local dealership. Really exciting, crazy to think that that's the last time we're gonna see those cars on the track this year.
So I think the microphone went away, which to Rut, that's like kryptonite or something for him.
When the mic didn't work, that was definitely a sore spot for Rut. Good looking race car though.
It really is. And the next gen cars will be on this track come tomorrow. Actually, they're going to be out here testing. I think they're talking 21, 22 cars. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a huge field out here testing. It's really the first chance that all of the teams are able to bring a next-gen car on the racetrack. And now pit road is open. And we're going to see Chase Elliott, A.J. Allmendinger, Ryan Blaney. This will be the first trip to pit road in the entire race for those teams, Parker.
Right, and Joe Logano pits out of 5th position at the top of your screen. Complain about that car just getting looser and looser and being pretty mediocre under the braking. Ford Goodyear tires, some air pressure adjustments for Joe Logano, Dave.
Chase Elliott said, I feel like it's pretty good. Can't argue with that. I need a whole nother segment to tell you what I need for the end of the race. So we'll see what these adjustments do for the 9 car. Who won the stage, Marty?
Dave, when I talked to Todd Gordon, crew chief for Ryan Blaney, bottom of your screen this morning, he said, we want stage points in stage 1. Well, guess what? They got it. They got 8 stage points. And it's interesting, Parker mentioned braking for Joey Logano, his teammate. Same thing for Ryan Blaney. He said, I'm getting demolished under braking. Brakes on this 12 car just all over the place.
And A.J. Allmendinger actually stayed out, so he'll be up front. leading the field as the official pace car is the Toyota Camry TRD. All right, let's take a look at the Cup Series playoff standings brought to you by Xfinity. Denny Hamlin again with the win 2 weeks ago. That locks him into the round of 8 after that stage and where the points are right now. And as they run, Kevin Harvick is above the cut line. Remember, he came in below the cut line, 9 points behind both Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott. Now Chase Elliott is below the cut line, and look at Joey Logano, only 1 above.
And it's going to continue to move around as we run because there's just so much movement between all the different strategies and another stage that will pay points here in about 22 laps. That number is going to continue to move around.
All these drivers fighting for a championship this year. Marty, I guess you've got a champion standing by with you, Alex Palou.
I found a guy who's already won a championship this year, Alex Palou, the IndyCar champion, won it a couple of weeks ago at Long Beach. So how is it being at a NASCAR race and watching everybody here at the Roval?
It's different, but it's really loud. I love it. Just my first time here watching a NASCAR race and being a fan, it's amazing. So here I am at the one pit stand, and it's just amazing. I love it.
What have you been doing to celebrate the title since you won it? I know you've done a lot of media, even back in Spain.
Yeah, lots of media, which is super good. I think that the support we had from the media this year, it's been amazing, and especially now. But been eating lots of fried chicken, celebrating with the family, and here we are. I needed some race cars, and here we have some race cars.
You ready to go for St. Pete? It's going to come up quick, early next year in February.
Really early. February is just now, so just going to have some good time now in the off-season, preparing ourselves for 2022. Hopefully we can defend this title.
There you go, Alex Palou hanging out with Kurt Busch and his team today, of course, part of the Chip Ganassi group. So the fried chicken story, Rick, you know, Colton Herta, he has hot dogs after, or he has tacos after he wins, I should say. Alex said, you know, I'm going to start having fried chicken after I win. So when he wins, he has fried chicken. But when you win a title, Rick, you can have as much fried chicken as you want.
Yeah, and the Spaniard actually had his dad come over for that championship race. So that was really cool. His father was there for him to see that championship.
Alex Palou joined us on NASCAR America Motor Mouth, Steve. He was in the restaurant eating the chicken while he joined us on the show. He was having a good time partying his championship. Mondays and Wednesdays, join us. Great fun.
It comes on the Dale Jr. download this week.
Oh, look at that. Motor Mouth tomorrow. I think we have a little footage from the next gen test. So we got a lot going Mondays and Wednesdays.
And again, that's on Peacock TV. So make sure to look that up. Field approaching the Geico restart zone. It's Allmendinger in front. Kyle Busch and the 24 of William Byron now fighting for that second spot.
William Byron's put himself in great position. Needs a win here today. We know that. But he's also had the pace as he's drove up into the top 10. Used a lot of pit strategy to get here, but he's got a quick race car. He's led laps here. He knows how to get around this track.
Steve, what's the strategy for Allmendinger here? He's not here for points. He's here to win the race. Is the strategy they're using, is it potentially a race-winning strategy?
Well, that's his goal. I would imagine he's only going to pit twice. So he's going to run a handful of laps here, pit, and then only pit one more time at the final stage. The problem he has is look at the fresh tires all around him. These old tires for A.J. Allmendinger definitely costing as we see a battle for the lead between the 24 and we see the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Not a lot of patience with Allmendinger.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick got to the back of Allmendinger just a little bit, maybe misjudged that speed, or just saying, hey, I need to find how important these points are. Now Allmendinger turning underneath him.
Back to the inside. That puts Kevin in a difficult situation. Have to get that position right back up to the 16.
Steve, we're seeing these cars go up on the curbing here. Could that have been one of the issues for the 6 car of Ryan Newman? They broke a shock brace, it sounded like.
Yeah, so you know that you're going to use the curbing, but you're going to ask your driver to try to use it sparingly. You cannot do it every lap for 109 laps. It will break something. And after the 6 had that flat tire, we heard a report that had broken the right rear shock mount. I would imagine that would come from movements like this. You see car in the air, the 4 up in the air. So you know, cars are built to do that, but let's not do it 109 times.
So Allmendinger, we saw him get by Harvick. Larson also got by Harvick. Harvick got beaten both times under braking, so you wonder if his car is braking the way he wants it to. You're talking about William Byron. He is a good road racer in a must-win situation. This is what they need, right? They need to be able to see the front, be able to make a move late in the race. You get a guy like Kyle Busch, that can point himself in, put him in a vulnerable position, put him in a position where he has to make a decision to lift or not. And guess what? He's probably going to lift because he just cannot afford to be in a wreck, partner.
Jeff, you're very observant about the 4 there and his braking performance under that caution. He was talking about how that car is wheel hopping late in the brake zone, and it's not slowing up enough early on in the brake zone, so he's actually downshifting early, which means you're using some of that engine braking, trying to slow down the car without just using the brakes. So not quite having the brake performance that they want in that 4 car. Very observant by you, Jeff. Dave?
Kyle Busch's day has turned in the right direction. 4 stage points in stage number 1. That's good because he needs points today. And then this race car may be harder for others to get around than it might have been earlier in the day when Kyle was asked if adding fuel and making an adjustment when he hit pit road has helped the 18. He said, yeah, best it's been, Marty.
Dave, Alex Bowman and Greg Ives have flipped the stage. That's given them track position for now. They sit in 7th, but there's a bigger problem developing on the 48, who's in a must-win. Listen on the radio conversation.
All right, so a little update from what I'm saying. I do not think we have an alternator. It was recovering. It is no longer recovering. I'm 13-0.
So, Steve, earlier they told him, quote, recover the battery. So, obviously, some sort of electrical issue going on the 48, 13-0 on the volts. That worry you a little bit?
Very much so. It should be higher than that. With so much race left for the 48, I would think the team better plan on changing the battery maybe at the end of stage 2. That's going to hurt their track position, Parker, but at this point, it might be their only option.
As we go on board here, Martin Truex Jr., he's been having issues with the rear grip, that race car. We saw him falling back early on at the start of this race, but they've also had another set of issues. Take a listen to his team radio.
I think if you're going to talk, just talk in really short bursts, then let go of the button. I don't know if something's wrong with the button or something. That's when you start talking really long that it cuts out.
And so the team was discussing where to come down. As you look at him 3 wide right now in between 2 Penske cars and a sandwich down to the final chicane, trying to navigate all that. They asked him if he wanted to fix it. He said, no, we got bigger issues. Just focus on making the race car better. But obviously, Martin's not going to be able to tell him everything about it with those radio issues and not able to talk to the team.
See Bubba Wallace in the 23 amongst that group of Fords there.
Steve, so that the problem with the 19 car is pretty interesting because he's not happy with the car, but if that's all the team can hear, what do they know how to make the car better? I don't know how they can understand what Martin's saying.
Yeah, I believe at this point you have to look at that SMT data, the driver data, to see where you're getting beat on the racetrack and perhaps try to guess by looking at his driving inputs what he's fighting, right? You should be able to tell if it's loose, tight, with throttle and steering. Because to your point, by the radio communication, they're not getting a lot of clear and concise information.
With the different strategies, Kyle Busch being up front, you look at the points, the playoff points now. Again, a lot of racing still to go. There's 77 laps to go in this race, but right now, 4th through 9th separated by 4 points. That's 4 positions on the racetrack. Marty.
And Rick, a big development issue for Kyle Larson. They are losing bolts on the 5 car as well. In fact, a moment ago, he was telling Cliff Daniels on the radio, bolts are at 12. Then he said, now at 7, now at 5. They have told him to shut everything off in the car that he can. All of his fans, they've told him to shut the alternator off if he can. Now they're walking him through the procedure of what switches to shut off. They told him to shut off white 2, shut off another color switch. So Steve, rapidly developing for the 5, losing bolts on that car as well. That's 2 Hendrick Motorsports cars.
It is shocking that Kyle Larson can be in this position after. Oh, and we've got a spinner right on the front stretch. The 14 of Chase Briscoe is around. And so that brings the caution out.
You were mentioning the 5 of Kyle Larson, the 48 of Alex Bowman, both with electronical issues.
Okay, I'm right on 2.
Question is now, only a third of the way into the race.
Off right now.
Is this the moment? You come down pit road and work on your car. We see what happens right here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. contact Chase Briscoe around at the Roval.
battery issues for the 5 team, at least a charging issue for the 5 team. They're on pit road now, Steve.
Yeah, listening to their radio, I believe it's an alternator. They asked them to rev it up to see if the volts would increase like the RPM should. With an alternator, it did not. So that tells me they have a charging issue for the 5. That is next to impossible to fix during the race. It's going to take a long time to change an alternator. So now it's going to be about changing the battery for the 5 of Kyle Larson. Unlike the 48 of Alex Bowman, they're under the hood. So I'm not sure if they feel they had a belt missing or if it's a charging issue, but it's electronic issues on both. So go to the bottom of your screen. You see the car chief reaching in front of the left rear tire. They're going to pull the battery out. That's where it's kept on those vehicles. Turn it off. You don't want to do this with the car running. You'll arc, and it can actually hurt the system. There's a lot going on for Hendrick Motorsports in this shot. And Rick Hendrick, I hope he's not watching, because this is not what he wants to see.
Try to get it on.
Steve,
we're going to stay on the lead lap here, so Steven's going to do what he can.
The alternator belt got kicked off. That's what happened to Kyle Larson. That's what they were looking for into the hood of the 48 as well.
Plenty of time.
Right, so there's the battery that comes out. Doesn't look like your battery at home. It's not going to. These batteries are built by the race team to be more powerful and lighter. So now there's 2 issues. Fresh battery and an alternator belt. Great calmness by Cliff Daniels on the radio. So
if you can't get the alternator belt on it, then don't worry about it. We'll just get the battery. Are you done with the battery, Jesse? Yes, okay.
There you go. Battery, first priority.
Fire the motor.
Belt would be great. Let's not lose a lap because of it. I love the calmness on the radio. Shows leadership by the crew chief.
Longer caution laps are helping this team as well. Let's listen to the 48 radio.
All right, so the belt's good, so that's not good news. What's your volts at now? 12.9 with brake bands off.
All right, so 5 of Kyle Larson, no alternator belt. 48 of Alex Bowman, charging issue, but the belt is on. That's what they're going to try to repair on the 5 car. Unfortunately for the 48, not that easy. They're going to have to try to continue to diagnose his issue.
William Byron, another Hendrick car up front here. Kyle Busch on the inside. Back through the gears they go.
Great restart for Kevin Harvick. Trying to battle the 24 with Byron through turn 1. He goes into 2nd place.
During all that chaos of electronic issues for the Hendrick Motorsports cars, you no longer see A.J. Allmendinger at the front. He finally came to pit road for his first pit stop of the day.
Kyle Busch out front, Harvick running 2nd. See the 99 of Suarez up here, as well as the 3 of Austin Dillon.
All these different strategies have this field mixed up. Right here, the 41 car, Cole Custer, the 34, the McDowell is there, the 99 of Suarez, the 7 of LaJoy.
It's surprising. Kyle Larson, the most wins by any driver this season, is below the cut line right now. He is 10 points down.
That is the heartburn for both Cliff Daniels, for the crew chief, for the team. Also, when you look at the 48, Greg Ives, they were in a must-win situation. They had to be aggressive with their strategy. Now they're dealing with an alternator issue as well. As you see the 5 of Kyle Larson on the racetrack.
Marty.
Rick, who would have thought this? Round of 12, we're talking cut line and Kyle Larson, and the fact that he is below it here. 73 to go, long way to go here at the Roval, though. You gotta love what Cliff Daniels has done. Steve, you pointed out, calmly leading this team right now, leading a meeting behind their pit box. Scott Maxim, one of the head engine builders for Hendrick Motorsports, sitting there as well. And they're coming up with a plan. Steve, you've mentioned it. That alternator belt is extremely hard to put on. That's why they didn't try to put it on here. Run this stage out as Cliff Daniels' plan. Only 14 to go here in stage 2, and then try and make that repair. Even if it's lengthy, you mentioned it too, Rick. Long caution flag laps here, so they have time to make this repair.
Two concerns, Rick. First, why did the belt come off? We're assuming it was contact from a debris, but what if the alternator has froze up? What if it's an internal issue that kicked the belt off? A new belt is not going to be a fix for this 5 car. The other thing is, you saw Cliff Daniels off the pit box coming up with a plan. That's great leadership, but you know what he's not doing? Worrying about anything else with the race. He's not looking at strategies. He's not looking at adjustments. He's losing valuable laps.
13.1.
You hear that? 13.1. Burton continues to give updates. Kyle Larson does to his team about the voltage.
So, Steve, one concern I have for this 5 car later in the race, like, he can stop under these stage ends, but the last stage of this race is 59 laps. The Xfinity race was 67. They put a battery in. That thing's got to last for 59 laps. That's a long time to end this race. Parker.
And it's obviously caught the attention of his Hendrick Motorsports teammate William Byron, who came into this race in a must-win position to advance to round of 8 with a lot of confidence with his speed at this racetrack, but he was just told under that latest caution to use precaution with the alternator, to not run any of the fans or any of the electronics underneath the caution, just as a precaution. They didn't allude to him why, but right now they're obviously watching very intensely the voltage on that 24.
And Steve, as a weekend mechanic, you know, we know that you loosen a bolt on the alternator, it slides over a little bit, you put the belt on. That's not the same with these race cars. Why is it so difficult to put a belt on?
Well, one of the big issues is because with so much underhood temperature, you don't want the belt to be set to a big crazy range. So there's like a turnbuckle, if you can imagine, that loosens and tightens the belt itself. But that has a jam nut under it. If you try to spin that down, and there's other belts in its way. You know, there's a water pump belt. Some of them run a little bit of a serpentine setup that takes multiple pulleys in. And the pulley itself on the alternator is very, very small. So there's just not a lot of flex in that belt. It's a challenging situation. We continue to hear voltages read out. I would love to hear 14.5. That would be normal. If I had 14.5, it'd be 2 thumbs up to my driver. When it starts getting around the 13 or below, you would assume you have an issue.
So voltage issues now for a couple of the Hendrick Motorsports teams. Not to 24 right now, as we see William Byron running up in the 3rd spot. Kyle Busch is out front. Harvick running 2nd. Byron is 3rd.
Pretty amazing to see what Harvick is able to do. He watched William Byron drive away from him just before that caution. Caution comes out. He gets up on his horse and he battles William Byron into turn 1 and takes the spot away. And now he's driving away, holding 2nd place down. He's got the leader right in front of him. This is a critical part of the race for this team. 12 laps to go in this stage, in great position to gain a lot of stage points. 1 point in stage 1, potentially 9 points, maybe even a stage win right here in front of him.
Take a look at the Toyota driver update up front right now. Kyle Busch, one of the more polarizing racers in NASCAR, has finished 30th or worse at all 3 of the Charlotte Roval races, and right now he's running up front. He's run well, but just has never had the finishes to show for it.
I wasn't even going to read the graphic. I didn't want to be the jinx, because to your point, we have seen speed out of the 18. That hasn't been the issue. It's getting that speed to the finish.
And take a look at this. Christopher Bell really wide through 5 and 6.
Yeah, just couldn't get it slowed down all the way in the grass. Christopher Bell, this race started out well. Speeding penalty, now off track.
God, did a little bit of damage to the splitter right there, trying to get back on the racetrack.
Hey, Junior, he just reported that it was okay according to how it felt. They asked him about it immediately, and he said it's fine for now.
I'll tell you who's flying is that 9 car, Chase Elliott. He is on a roll.
Back up to the 6th spot for Elliott. Kyle Busch still up front. It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Charlotte, the Bank of America Roval 400. Look at the fan cam. Bubba Wallace, impressive win 1 week ago. Right now continuing to fight through the field here as he's running in the 28th position. You know, Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, they had a great interview earlier today with today's Craig Melvin. That's available on NBCSports.com as well as Motorsports on NBC YouTube for that full interview. And right behind him, Ross Chastain. We mentioned he is wearing one of the Whoop bands to check out his biometrics. And what's the heart rate at now? 147, Steve.
Yeah, not too bad, Junior. You talked to him that he was going to be super high. His heart rate's pretty good, but look at that strain, 14.2. That goes all the way up to 21. That 14.2 is basically like he's been riding a bike for a couple hours. So he was right when he said it was going to be higher. You were going to be impressed.
They talked about a full triathlon. If you were to do a full triathlon, your activity strain would probably close in on that 21 number. So they're putting in a lot of effort out here on the racetrack today. Dave.
So, Rick, we always like to hear about guys making their way through the ranks. Well, crew chief Ben Bayshore is in his first season crew chiefing for Kyle Busch atop the 18 pit box. And when I asked him today about this week and getting ready for a cutoff race like this when his driver is on the bubble and whether he may or may not have lost a little sleep, he admitted there were several 3 a.m. wake-ups, stare at the clock, think about the week and what's to come. So even though Ben turns 4-0 in a couple of weeks, it's weeks like this that are giving him more gray hairs. And Steve, I know you can relate to that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the moments where you just aren't at work. I think when you're at work or at the racetrack or during the race, while the stress should be high, you're in your comfort zone because you're working. You're kind of working on the project at hand. It's those sleepless nights where you wake up in the middle of the night, literally get your computer, your notebook out, jot down everything you're thinking about.
Right now, playoff drivers holding the top 4 positions: Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, William Byron, and Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott won that first stage. Was able to get a playoff point, hoping that he'll be able to utilize that as the round of 8 will be the next round. 4 drivers will be eliminated. And currently, those 4 drivers are Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Alex Bowman. They're below the cut line as they're running on the racetrack.
We're watching Joey Logano try to work his way through the field. He's got some newer tires than a lot of these guys around him. Him, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, all trying to work themselves forward. There you see Brad Keselowski in the 2 car going to the inside of Kurt Busch down here in the braking zone. Kurt's going to go wide, give him the spot. Truex going to try to take advantage of that as well. He will. Behind them, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson battling down into turn 1. All these guys with newer tires trying to work their way past a lot of cars on a totally different strategy. Marty.
Seven to go here in stage 2, and this battery situation for Alex Bowman not getting any better. Take a listen on the radio.
No, 12.5. You're going to have less than 10 minutes from 12.5 to 12.0. We got 1 point the stuff stopped working. Hopefully we have enough time.
So, Steve, it could be a matter of time, really, for the 48. They're hoping it can make it to the end of stage 2 and already down to 12.0 on that battery voltage.
And the other issue is, you know, this is with everything shut off, so he's also probably nursing the brakes. You get concerned about some of your gear cooling, your driver cooling. Let's be clear. We talk about the mechanics of it. Well, Alex Bowman, I'm sure his cool suit, his air conditioner, everything's shut off. They can't afford to have the volts being used. So Alex Bowman is also having to put a lot more effort in without having the cooling available.
Steve, would you ever bring multiple batteries? I know you would have like fail-safe back there, but are you going to bring 4, maybe 5 to the racetrack? Because they're going to have to switch this multiple times.
I wouldn't bring 5, but Hendry Motorsports is about 3 miles down the street. I'd have already been out the tunnel going for another set.
Kyle Larson in the same situation. They have charging issues. We go NASCAR nonstop. You won't miss a thing. you can download the official app of NASCAR and follow the action with free live scoring. In-car cameras and radio broadcasts. Search NASCAR in your app store to download and start a free trial today.
Well, Rick, 4 laps to go in the second stage. I would expect to see a wave of cars come to pit road this next time by, and it really just determines on what your priority is. The 18 of Kyle Busch, I would expect him to stay on the racetrack, win this stage, or try to win this stage and get those 10 very important points. Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, William Byron, all much the same. William Byron might come to pit road because he's thinking he has to win today. He can't get there on points. But then Dillon, Suarez, Hamlin, Reddick, I think we're going to have a busy pit road here under green with 3 laps to go in the stage.
And Steve, that could greatly benefit Blaney, Logano, Keselowski, Larson. All those guys could stay out and they would get those stage points.
You're absolutely right, Jeff, right? So the cars that aren't in the stage, there you go. William Byron's going to lead them in, and they're all going to come. We aren't going to have a car stay on the racetrack for quite some time, actually. Everyone comes to pit road. It looks like it's a yellow flag pit stop. Now here comes a few more playoff guys as the 24 does a nice job stopping in his box, Parker.
And he's been very quiet on the radio, and the team reminded him as Chase Elliott went by that he was on a different strategy. They're on a larger plan here to go for the win. It's 4-gear tires. You saw the adjustment there in the right rear to tighten that car up, Dave.
A.J. Allmendinger will bring the 16 to pit road. Now I don't know what strategy they're on, but they'll pit here. He'll get 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He'll get lots of Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Denny Hamlin, Chris Gabehart made the call to bring him down pit road. Hamlin said car just way too loose. He said, I'm losing time, especially off of turn 8. That's where I'm really getting beaten by everybody, Dave.
4 tires and fuel for Christopher Bella. Says something is hitting the track on the track bar. It doesn't know if it's a track bar, but something on the right side is hitting the track. We'll see how that progresses.
Very busy pit road right now as we're seeing cars come off. Again, they shut pit road down with 2 laps to go in the stage. And so right now, Kyle Busch, race leader, when he comes back by.
And we see when Christopher Bell comes on pit road, he Corey LaJoie right there. The right front damage to that car right there when he went off the racetrack, it's a lot of damage to that split. I think that's what he's feeling hitting the racetrack. See that splitter pushed back. Some of that bracing may be on the racetrack at certain points, the braking zones and so forth.
So now look at your leaderboard. Look how big the change is. Blaney all the way to 4th. Logano to 5th. Keselowski 6th. Larson 7th. Truex 9th. Bowman 10th. They all need stage points. They all stayed out. Got huge benefit by those other guys just here to win the race, right? And Harvick sitting there saying, I did everything right. I got myself in position. I outran these guys, and now they're it's gonna be for nothing because they're all getting stage points when originally they weren't gonna get it. So Kevin Harvick looked to be in great shape, but now that's completely turned around.
Harvick right now 2nd. Chase Elliott is 3rd. You remember back to Bristol just a couple races ago when those 2 traded paints and Elliott came back out on the racetrack, got in front of Harvick, and a lot say that he slowed Harvick down enough that Larson was able to get by and get the win. And at the end of that, they had words. So now these 2 nose to tail as we're closing in on the end of stage 2. And to remind those of you that are playing fantasy with your NASCAR lineups, you've got 1 lap before you won't be able to make any more changes to that lineup.
Quit helping people, Rick.
Well, hey, no, real help would have been to remind me before the race started to put my lineup in, Rick. So I really appreciate that.
Look at the movement in the hands of the 4-car. Kevin Harvick struggling to try to keep this car underneath him. He's going to have to give up this spot to Chase. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Yes. I thought he might get a little more aggressive than that, but cut it pretty close. Chase gets by and gets clear. He'll drive away.
So Chase Elliott moves up to 2nd. Harvick running in that 3rd spot. Again, those 2 were separated by 9 points before the race started. The point standings changing with every lap. Now Harvick back below the cut line, 11 points out. Brad Keselowski is the next one closest to him in points.
And there's nobody coming from behind. You see a big gap between Harvick and the next car, so he can just bring this thing home in 3rd place in this stage. It isn't a stage win, but it is points. Even though those other cars, like you mentioned, Burton, are getting these stage points, you got to continue to fight forward. You never know what's going to happen in stage 3. Who might get wiped out? It's going to get pretty aggressive.
with so many cars on the lead lap. If you have trouble late in this race, you could lose 30 spots, 25, 30 spots.
Kyle Busch coming through the front stretch chicane for the final time here in stage 2. He's going to end up winning stage 2. That is another playoff point. That'll put 23 playoff points into his bucket if he's able to advance into the next round.
I'm going to tell you, this is a big break for the 5 of Kyle Larson, battling those battery issues, but because everyone is working that alternate strategy except for the playoff cars, that's allowed Kyle Larson, as you watch these two finish, he's going to end up, I believe, 5th or 6th in this stage as it comes back around. Yeah, there he goes, Blaney, Logano, Larson in 6th, so scores some points. Remember that if that battery issue ends his day early or slows him down later, those could be the points that keep him going through the playoffs.
He came in second in the standings because of all of the playoff points he brought into it. Well, it's been a crazy second stage, one stage to go. This one goes to Kyle Busch. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Ram Trucks, the only truck brand to win Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 years in a row, and by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Well, golfers would like the power to go out and win the President's Cup. After we come off the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup is going to be here in Charlotte at Quail Hollow. And the captains came and hung out with our 7-time champion, Jimmy Johnson, at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Steve, I know that golf near and dear to your heart, as well as DJ. DJ, you've probably played a lot of golf with Davis Love III, haven't you?
Actually, I've had the opportunity to play with Davis a little bit, and it makes you appreciate just how good those guys are and what a great course. Quail Hollow, so hard, and when you see the scores and the way they play it, just makes you appreciate how good how good they are at that game and what the things that they can do that most of us can't.
I've been fortunate enough to play at Quail Hollow, and DJ, I know your game. That creek on 18 is on the wrong side of the fairway for you.
You got that right.
Well, again, the 2022 President's Cup, that's going to be held next September in Charlotte at Quail Hollow Club. Let's check in with Rutt.
Rick, here in the infield, it's cool. You can actually see behind me here on the left, there's about 5 spotters that are up here on the very edge. And I'm wondering for Dale Jr., the birthday boy, 2 things. Number 1, what's your favorite kind of birthday cake? Number 2, how helpful is it to have a spotter over here? Because they really can't see that much that it seems like it could help the drivers.
Well, my favorite birthday cake, or any time, I eat cake, is red velvet. You know, I think having a spotter is just a comfort issue for the driver, right? It allows him to know that at all times somebody's going to be able to help him get through an accident or something laying on the racetrack, not just clearing him around race cars. It just kind of keeps him abreast of where there's trouble on the racetrack, where there might be oil on the racetrack, maybe you know, a splitter laying in the middle of the racetrack. We've seen that happen at these racetracks, road courses and so forth. So there's a lot going on, and you add as many as you want. You know, even at a oval like the Indianapolis Oval, we would have 2, maybe 3 spotters at that racetrack.
It's a bit of an elevation change. Also.
That's a fresh battery. Can you cycle your alternator?
All right, so we're the 48s leaving pit road. They were here for a length of time, about 2.5 minutes or so. Looked like they changed the battery on the 48. We're also hearing the 48's teammate, the 5 of Kyle Larson, is going to attempt to put that alternator belt on. The team estimates about 2.5 minutes. Pace laps around 3 minutes, Marty. So it's possible, but everything's going to have to go pretty perfect for the 5 team.
Yeah, and that was a fresh battery. You heard Greg Ives say that a moment ago, 13.1. And yes, Alex Bowman did cycle the alternator, so the number's not very good on the 48 with a fresh battery, only registering 13.1. And yes, Cliff Daniels, that plan, we showed you the meeting earlier. They've come up with a plan for Kyle Larson. It's going to be 2 stops. They're going to try and get that alternator belt on.
And here come the field on the pit road. Looks like the 4 of Harvick first into his stall. Parker.
Right, first to peel off there, Kevin Harvick, the 4, who's very loose on the entry and exit of the corners. You see that track bar adjustment up in the right rear, and also 4 Goodyear tires in full Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Stage winner Kyle Busch now 14 stage points on the day. That's great for his cause. Needs a little more of the same adjustment they had the time before. As for Chase Elliott, he just like more overall grip if he could get it, Marty.
See Ryan Blaney on pit road. He said, quote, "This car doesn't do anything really good. Left rear drive is his biggest issue. Going to be a big adjustment." There you see that adjustment for Ryan Blaney trying to tighten up that race car. Kyle Larson on pit road here, so they decided to change tires on this run right here. And Steve, I'll let you walk through trying to get this alternator belt on. Very difficult process.
Listen, I've done some battery changes, but an alternator change, I'm going to walk you through that. I'm glad I'm not the guy doing it. We'll see how they do when we come back for break. We'll check in with the 5 of Kyle Larson.
Just 4 races remain in the Cup Series playoff schedule. See Texas, Kansas, and Martinsville. Those will be the next round. That's the round of 8, and then Phoenix the championship. You also see there Peacock will be simulcast on the Texas, Martinsville, and Phoenix race. So you'll have 2 opportunities as to where you want to watch those races.
That's great for the race fans. A couple opportunities. An update on Kyle Larson, the 5 car. He's off pit road and trying to catch the field by the radio communication. We believe they got the alternator belt on. We'll keep you up to date as this race continues. 57 laps to go.
William Byron and Austin Dillon making up row 1 as they go into turn 1, and the 11 of Denny Hamlin right there, as well as Daniel Suarez, Allmendinger, everyone on different agendas here.
New tires, the newer tires are back in 20th place. So William Byron and his team, you got to give them credit. This is what they needed to do. Come in here, put themselves at the front of this field late in this race. They have to win, and they're in the best position they could have asked for right now.
If he were to win the point battle for that last spot in the cutoff to make the next round of the playoffs is going to be crazy. That is the last thing that these playoff drivers want to see is William Byron or one of these guys outside of the top 8 to win.
With William Byron up front, you see Kyle Larson 7 points below the cutoff line. There's the 5. After changing or putting an alternator belt on, they hope that they have that fixed and he can go back to racing as normal. But right now he's scored 32nd.
And Rick, we've seen some very impressive work out of mechanics up and down pit road in the playoffs. I go back to Eric Almirola, the oil line at Bristol. Now an alternated belt for Kyle Larson here at the Roval. These are mechanics that they haven't got a lot of practice. There hasn't been practice in the garage. They haven't been practice on the racetrack. They haven't been working under heated up engine compartments, Marty, like they have in the past. But all the preparation showing for their work during the races.
Just impressive work under fire for the Hendrick Motorsports engine department. They were able to get that alternator belt on. Kyle Larson, in fact, asked, are we fixed for good? Cliff Daniels said, yes, we're fixed for good. He said, leave all your fans off for me for about 3 laps. Let's build up some charge, but I think we're good to go for the rest of the race.
That's good news because with 55 to go, you mentioned it, Kyle Larson currently -2. The advantage for Larson is he's in 30th. A lot of points in front of him he can gain.
Seen Christopher Bell in the middle of a lot of action today. This is just the last lap through this front chicane. He and Matty D having some contact.
He's already got a little bit of damage to the right front. That happened early in the race.
Worked pretty good.
Oh, look out!
The 9 is around.
Big
the 4
damage
as well.
There's a big damage to the back of this 9
That's
car.
The 41 of Cole Custer, but a lot of damage to Chase Elliott.
Yeah, the problem. Yeah, the 9 is destroyed, Junior. You said big damage.
Deck lid on it. Got to get this deck lid on it.
The 4 was there, too. It was very close between Harvick and Chase Elliott.
Back bar's broke. It is.
That's big damage. Chase Elliott came into the race only 9 points to the good. He has earned 19 points today in stage racing, but now a ton of damage.
Wow, he's already got the damage at this point. So he's already had contact with the wall somewhere in the infield.
And then the 41 got him there as he slid into the grass.
Yeah, let's take a look. You guys mentioned it already. Oh, right there. It's a great shot.
Oh, was there contact between him? Look at the front bumper of the 4 car. Big damage to the nose of Kevin Harvick.
Was that the payback from Bristol? Did Kevin Harvick wait until it mattered most for Chase Elliott? Let's take a look.
You're clear.
Wow. There was the contact. Sent him into the wall. Could that be the payback for Bristol a couple weeks ago?
We're riding on board. You hear him stand in the gas just before contact.
And does that end the possibility of the 9? Right now, 8 points below the cut line. Does that end his chance?
Listen to the throttle.
You saw the onboard, you heard the onboard right here. The 4 gets into the left rear, sending him into that right side wall. Then as the 9 accelerates with damage, he catches the 41. I'm thinking the 9 of Chase Elliott was thinking he'd like to catch the 4 right here as he turns to the left. I don't know if the car just comes around with the broken track bar or if he is aiming for the rear bumper of the 4, but in the end, he catches the 41. Down the racetrack he goes. Big damage on the 9. Deck lid has to be on the car for the car to compete. and you heard a broken track bar. That's a piece of the suspension that holds the rear in place left to right. We'll see if the 9 can get a repair. You mentioned it, Rick, the history between these two back at Bristol.
Yeah, these two, Kevin Harvick out front, fighting for the lead. The 9, they were racing hard. The 9 cuts a tire, gets into the wall. Frustrated at the way he was raced, he comes back out on the track, goes by the 4, but then stays in front of him. And that allowed the 5 to get by. Harvick felt that he stole the win away from him.
And we got to add in, remember, Kevin Harvick is over a 1-year winless streak. That is nothing that you would expect out of a guy like Harvick. I think that fired him up even more at Bristol. But right here, it looks to me that the 4 of Kevin Harvick was patient, waited till it mattered most, and it seems like pretty clear contact between the 4 and the 9.
Well, you know what Chase Elliott's going to believe, right? There's no question that Chase Elliott is going to feel like Kevin Harvick wrecked him right there on purpose. I'm like you, Steve. I wanted right there, major contact, and then I'm like you. I wonder right here if Chase is like, okay, I'm going to get you back, and then the 41 gets into him.
41 also from Stewart-Haas Racing. As the 9 under this caution, working his way back to pit road.
So that look at the points down there. That puts the 9 -8. They have to address and evaluate the damage to this car and be able to see how they can improve. Find speed, maybe rebound, and get those points back.
You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Bank of America Roval 400, reigning series champion, Chase Elliott. As we take a listen to the throttle from Kevin Harvick.
So Kevin Harvick aggressively into throttle right there, and I can assure you that Chase Elliott is convinced that that was on purpose. We know Kevin Harvick isn't going to cut him any slack. We know Kevin Harvick was upset after Bristol. And so was Chase Elliott, and that thing never got settled. And maybe Harvick feels like it got settled today. Chase is not going to feel that way.
Well, you wonder what Chase will do if he gets around him on the racetrack now. As we're back under green, 52 laps to go in this race. As they're running with William Byron up front, the 4 of Kevin Harvick is still below the cut line. Chase Elliott down below that cut line as well. It's Byron, Austin Dillon, Hamlin up here as the top 3. Daniel Suarez in the 99. A.J. Allmendinger in the 16. And Steve, everybody still has to come to pit road.
52 laps to go. No one can make it on fuel. So at this point, it's about when you need to make your final pit stop. You see the 9 of Chase Elliott taped up and battered. Goal now to reach minimum speed to be taken off the damaged vehicle clock. Let's listen into the 9 radio.
If we get a chance, we can wreck him and it'll lock us in. Don't be worrying. Oh, it's going to happen.
There you have it. Alan Gustafson explaining to his crew chief, because if you look at the points, this is with Byron leading. Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick are both below, but if Byron's not the leader, it moves down 1 spot as we see big smoke down the backstretch with someone. So Alan Gustafson explaining to his driver, if you wreck the 4, it locks us in, and then the spotter looks like A.J. Allmendinger with an issue. Then the spotter confirms, oh, it's going to happen. So definitely some frustration in the 9 camp.
Something wrong with the 16 of Allmendinger. Slow on the apron of the track.
Yeah, we had thought it was maybe some brake lockup. Maybe it was a driveline issue on the 16 car creating all that smoke. As we watch the 9 car here continuing to circle the racetrack, trying to evaluate the damage to this race car and how to improve it, make the repairs, continue to make laps here.
Drivers, I'm going to pose the question to you. What's acceptable? We just heard on the radio, he said, I'm going to wreck him so that I get in. Is that acceptable racing?
I think you're going to go back to the history that NASCAR has set as a precedent for that. And I don't think that they're going to be very happy to see that 9 car go out there and wreck the 4. So they've already made the comments on the radio. We played it on national television. NASCAR is going to be observant to it. And if it happens on the racetrack, you'd have to imagine that precedent has been set before.
The president being Matt Kenseth at Martinsville. The difference in that was I just feel like that, you know, that was, he was off the racetrack, came back onto the racetrack. If it's a racing incident, that's one thing. If it's just a complete wipeout, then NASCAR will be put in a position to make a call.
So that's where I'm with you, Jeff. In my mind, as a crew chief in the garage area, if we were on the same lap racing for position, they considered it just racing, no matter how obvious it was. The Matt Kenseth-Logano issue was a car multiple laps down. We'll see if NASCAR sees it the same way. Good news for the 9 of Chase Elliott. They meet minimum speed, therefore no more damaged vehicle policy. If they get some cautions, they can continue to work on their race car.
And he's on the lead lap still. After all they've done, he's still on the lead lap.
Yeah, so can Chase Elliott get his car fast enough to get himself in a racing position to be able to race with Kevin Harvick? That is something they've got to work on, Dave.
Engine failure, guys, for the 16 A.J. Allmendinger after winning for the 3rd time in a row in Xfinity yesterday. You can see he's limped it to the garage area.
So unfortunate for A.J. Allmendinger. After winning yesterday in the Xfinity Series, he comes in here, was having a great run with that 16 team and not able to continue on. So his day in short.
It's unfortunate for him, but that's one thing I can appreciate about these road courses is they put the cars through such a difficult test of endurance. We rarely see big failures of any kind on the ovals, but on this road course, especially here with the turtles and so forth, this place beats up a race car pretty bad.
William Byron's out front. He has a 2-second lead right now over Austin Dillon. Denny Hamlin's back there about 2.5 seconds. Then it's Reddick, Suarez, Kurt Busch, Chris Buescher, Matt DiBenedetto, Corey LaJoie, and Ross Chastain. They're all part of the top 10. But again, they are on a strategy where they were on pit road at lap 47. LaJoie 46, Ross Chastain 46 as well. Harvick, Blaney, Bell, they came a little bit later to pit road.
Well, let me add one more wrinkle to this Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick thing. Chase Elliott just ran about the 7th fastest lap of everyone on the racetrack. So that 9 car, taped up in parts and pieces, still has the pace currently. We'll see if it holds together.
And is there a strategy out there that Chase Elliott could win this race? If he came at maybe that first opportunity to
Rick,
pit road?
You're going to ask me a Chase Elliott strategy. Last year, he was nosed into the heartburn corner, crashed, and came back to win. So, yeah, there's all kinds of strategies. Last year, I said no, and he won. Listen, I learned my lessons. I'm not going to write him off yet.
Well, also, Steve, with the pace you just said this car has, he can just race himself up with points. They get a caution, get to the end of the pack and just go past 10, 11, 12 cars, and you're back up in the point position you need to be in.
So again, Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick. That bad blood has risen once again here as we go NASCAR nonstop. TV's most anticipated new show is here. Don't miss an all-new La Brea. It's Tuesday night on NBC. It's almost as if Harvick and Elliott fell into that sinkhole there at La Brea, as we have seen some incredible things already with the charging systems of two of the Hendrick cars, and now a little payback from the 9 and the 4.
And Rick, I think that's the most important thing for everybody watching at home to remember. With 47 laps to go, we have the points on the bottom left. Elliott -11, Harvick -6. Both have positions on the racetrack they can gain. The 18 of Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Larson, Truex, Logano, even all the way to Blaney running 10th, plus 23 looks great. He's running 10th. There are over 35 cars in the lead lap. An issue, and Blaney could instantly be in the red. Dave.
Big announcement this weekend as Whelen goes racing with RCR big time next year. They're on the back bumper of Austin Dillon's car today, and he's been very happy with that 3 car at the Roval. They had a gun issue. One of the pit guns failed earlier on, lost a few spots on pit road, but Austin Dillon saying, if I could have a little more grip, that'd be great, but overall, pretty happy with what's going on here, Parker.
And another good run in the top 10. Who just slipped out of the top 5. Daniel Suarez in that 99. Remember, this Trackhouse Racing team started off the year so well, then had a bit of a rough patch and been looking to get back on some positive momentum, and right now having a great run at the Roval. Very happy with that car, just lacking a little rear grip, but coming to him, Marty.
Kurt Busch with Alex Palou, the IndyCar champion, sitting on his pick box, rooting him right now in 5th spot. Remember, last year here, Kurt finished 4th. That was after being spun from third spot on the final lap. So a little redemption, looking to get a podium here this afternoon. So strong at the Roval, and among those cars that pitted at lap 47, we're going to see pit stops coming up here in about 15-20 laps, which could be the final ones of the day.
Watching the leader, William Byron, working to turn one. He's led 50 laps here before, and we've seen him have great pace at other road courses. Sears Point a couple years ago. Sitting here with 2 top 10s the last time he's raced at this track. So, I mean, this is a legitimate opportunity he has to go out there and win this race. If they have everything go right on the pit stops, they don't fall victim of any kind of craziness late in the race if we do get some yellows and things get wild. He has the pace, and he's in perfect position to go up here and win his way into the next round.
And he's had speed in these playoffs. They've brought speed. They just haven't been able to get the finishes. Some poor strategy, some bad luck. But William Byron has done his job in these playoffs and keeps finding himself in this position. This would be a huge step-up moment. He's had them before, but if he can find his way into this, just ran over something down the back straightaway. Something just came out from underneath the car park.
I think that was sitting there. There was a piece of tape or something there on the racetrack. But I wanted to add on to what you guys were saying, because I spoke to William today, and he had so much confidence coming into this race because of that speed that he's shown here in the playoffs and the speed that he's had at this specific racetrack. But even with all that, the team has been continually coaching him, looking at his data, looking at the competitors' data, and telling him what gears they're using in different corners, where he's gaining and losing speed throughout this race. So even with 44 to go and in the lead, the team is continually telling him things that he can do better, just preparing in that eventuality that they have to go out there and maybe hold some others off on a late race restart. They came in here in a must-win position and right now put themselves in a great position to pull it off.
It's hard to believe that this tenacious competitor is the same humble young man who Friday night returned to his alma mater, a high school in Charlotte, to be an honorary captain at a high school football game. It says a lot about who he is. He knows where he came from. He was at Charlotte Country Day Friday night on the field with the football team. I think it says a lot about a NASCAR superstar who's gone to victory lane. That's why I think you see great brands on his car. He's well-spoken and proves once again that he's a fast race car driver.
Well, that's an eye-opener again at his age. He's only 23 years old, just a couple years removed from high school. So interesting, and that's great that he went back and was a part of homecoming there for Country Day. As we see him out in front, he has a 3.3 second lead over Austin Dillon. Here's the fight back here between Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson.
Yeah, they're battling for 18th place as they're working their way back through the field, using some strategy that tried to get as many stage points as they could. They give up a lot of track position. Now they're trying to work their way back forward. A little bit of lock up there in the 5 of Larson.
It's amazing, though, the braking that he has. I mean, he just simply drove in the corner deeper, got on the brakes later than Kyle Busch, and just drove by him. So that's extreme advantage, Junior, on a road course, to being able to outbrake someone like that.
Kyle Busch,
fastest lap.
Yeah, Kyle has that fastest lap, lap 31. So great pace in this car. He just has to work on it. They get one more opportunity maybe to get on the pit road and improve on this race car for Kyle, and sitting in pretty good position.
That fastest lap that we just saw, that can help for starting position for next week's race when the series heads off to Texas. The metrics that they use include points, finish position here, as well as the fastest lap for these drivers.
Riding on board with Martin Truex Jr. Not had everything go his way today. He has struggled with the grip in the race car, lost a lot of spots early on, then they improved the car, but now lacks a lot of track position.
Back up through the gears he goes. He goes through 8 and 9 here at the Roval. William Byron out front. Coming up on 40 laps to go. The NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Charlotte. It's the Bank of America Roval 400. As we look down, you see Denny Hamlin getting fired up back. He had to stop on the back from the back stretch.
Yeah, I must have missed the back stretch. Stop on the front stretch is, I believe, what happened. Let's take a look right here. Oh, yeah, he gets in really deep and misses the backstretch chicane. Jeff, you pointed out he did what we saw yesterday. Jump in the gas, go as fast as you can, and serve your penalty on the front.
It's pretty interesting to watch him come around turns 3 and 4 on the outside of a car, and he already commits hard into this braking zone of the front straightaway chicane, stops the car and goes again, really minimizing the penalty as much as possible. Very smart driving by Denny.
Yeah, he was running third. That dropped him back to 6th, and you're going to see that become more of a problem as this run goes on. A long green flag run, brakes get hotter and hotter and hotter, and as you try to enter these, both the front and rear chicane, you're pushing the braking limit as far as you can, and as these brakes get hot, they just will not work as well as he did earlier.
Looking down on this 2.32 mile Roval here at Charlotte. Aerial coverage brought to you by Geico. Just before Denny Hamlin had his issue there, the last lap. Take a look at what's happening here between the 2 and the 18.
Oh, Kyle gets a little help from behind the 14. They go down the front straightaway. Kyle probably very upset about that.
When you catch somebody, when you catch them side by side in these chicanes, that's a signal for Kyle Busch. Go run, go make something happen, because you know Keselowski's going to be slow on corner exit. He tried to do it, but got moved around from the back.
I'm telling you, if you got a seat in the grandstands, it's amazing to sit here and watch these cars come through this front straightaway chicane. It's like a 15-round prize fight, watching Corey LaJoie and some of these guys drive around this racetrack and try to get through this chicane. Lots and lots of beating and banging on these cars, just like what we see at a Martinsville short track.
Throwing jabs every time through.
All jabs, no power punches.
Well, and
there's been a few power punches.
There's been a couple, one of those being between the 9 and the 4, and we think about that. There's one more race that's still out there that you would think there's payback that can possibly come. That's Martinsville. And you guys mentioned earlier the Logano situation with Matt Kenseth. That's where a payback happened there. It eliminated Logano from the championship and also Kenseth.
Now, Chase Elliott's not out of this by any means. You get one caution and bunch everybody back up. He's fast enough to go pick up spots. If he can pick up 12, 13, 14 spots, he's back in. So they need to be cool and calm here. There's no way this thing's going to go 40 laps, 39 laps out of caution. There's no way. So they can still get themselves into playoffs. Dave.
And Jeff, they've talked about that on the radio, lots of different ways to do this, and I don't think they meant getting back at Kevin Harvick. I think they meant winning the race. So as they talked about that, they also gave Chase a little bit of an update on the radio as to where the points are.
Tell me what we're going to do here. All right, we just need to stay on the lead lap as long as we can. If they stop that under green, it's not going to be our friend, but we're running as long as possible. We're losing about a second lap to the leader. Just need to try to fix the car. Where we sit, we're going to need about 12, 13 spots. Williams leading. Obviously, if he wins, that's worst case for us.
So there you go. As they see it now, before the strategies completely play here at the end of the race, about 12 to 13 spots from where he is right now. And as you mentioned, getting a lot of speed out of the 9 still.
And Gustafson was just talking about where they stand in the points as we take a look at the Cup Series point standings presented by Xfinity. And right now, Elliott's 11 points below that cut line. Kevin Harvick 8 points below the cut line. And coming in, it was Elliott and Kyle Busch that were above that cut line because of the issues between the 9 and the 4. Now we see Elliott back there. He is running in the 33rd position. 56 seconds behind race leader William Byron. And that another one Alan Gustafson mentioned. Hey, Williams up front, if he wins this, it hurts us. And that's a tough situation to be in for Hendrick Motorsports.
Well, Williams in a great situation leading this race, but this guy right here, Tyler Reddick's running the fastest laps on the racetrack, lap after lap, much quicker than William Byron. Just about even there, but the lap before over half a second faster. The kid knew he had a fast car. We heard him on the radio earlier in the race when they started this thing. He's driving through the field. We mentioned him moving through the field, running top 5 lap times. Now he's in the top 2. He's going to chase down this 24. That could be the best thing that could happen to anybody else, like the 4 car, the 9 car, Chase Elliott, for this playoff battle. But William Byron maybe busy here in a few laps with this 8 car trying to keep his playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds back now is Tyler Reddick. Remember, though, on the William Byron front, he's doing what he has to do. He came into this race 44 points below that cut line, really a must-win situation. So now he and his team have him out front and potentially could win this race.
Watching some more action on the racetrack. 48 to 20, a little contact in the high-speed section. Going through the banking of turn 4. Down this braking zone, you have to imagine that might have continued through that chicane. Marty.
Yeah, Dale, let's check in on the 48. Greg Ives a moment ago said, I think I'm going to have to change the battery in this car about every 30 minutes. So they're working off the clock, much less laps. But a moment ago, they had a conversation hoping it could limp its way all the way to their next pit stop. Listen in on the radio.
Are you running any of your driver cooling tools? Yes. With that amperage, with the car and your driver cooling stuff, we should make it to the end of the race.
So there you go. Now they think they can not only make it to this next stop, they've had this alternator issue pretty much from the start of the race. The battery right now, Steve, 12.9. They don't only think they can make it to the next stop, which is about 7-8 laps away. They think they can make it to the end of the race. So good news for the 48 team.
So the 48 team and Greg Ives will have to make a decision if we get a yellow. Currently running 19th, over 30 cars in the lead lap. They would be the last car in the lead lap with a short amount of the race left if they did change that battery. But you'd hate to guess and be wrong, Rick, because if you look at the points, he's in a must-win situation. So I would think you would probably go ahead and risk it, try to get as much track position as you can. But if there is any opportunity to put fresh tires on this thing late in the race and do something, you never know. You're going to want to have at least a car and a battery that'll work.
Maybe he could come to pit road early right now and hope for a yellow that would drag the rest of the field down, then cycle him to the front. I think that's their only chance of the must-win scenario playing out.
Yeah, big gamble. Green flag pit stop.
And William Byron's up front has a 2-second lead.
Green flag pit stops underway here at the Roval. You see Kevin Harvick pulling away with 4 tires. Also, Joe Delgado, both struggling with rear grip in both of those 4s now as we see these green flag stops underway, Dave.
Peeling out is the 18 of Kyle Busch. He's also on pit road, what would seemingly be for the final time. No adjustments to that car. There's Martin Truex Jr. He's pitting as well.
Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson made their pit stops during the commercial break. They were the first 2 to come to pit road. I think that kind of prompted this counter punch by some of the other playoff drivers. Now the question is, how long will William Byron stay on the racetrack? Remember, a must-win situation for the driver of the 24. So It's not about points. It's all about trying to win this race. And here you go. There's your answer. The 24 will come to pit road. The 8 of Reddick will chase him down. This will be great to see the two pitting together. Who will make time on pit road, Parker?
You saw Tyler Reddick try to make up so much time getting closer to William Byron. Williams been very happy with that race car. Just an air pressure adjustment for the 24 as they do 4 tires. The same with the 8. They're very happy, Dave.
There you have it. The lead coming on pit road, about 10 car lengths. You see William Byron leaving. The 8 were leaving as well. Marty.
You see them cross over Ryan Blaney, who comes to pit road. This is still fairly early in the window. To that point, Todd Gordon told his team, we have to get it completely full here to make sure we make it to the end. And of course, overtime, which may be a factor later today, Dave.
Oh, that could happen, Marty. That would really make the end of today interesting here at the Roval. Brad Keselowski for Goodyear Tires and Sunoco Fuel. No complaints really about the handling, just tires were worn out. Time to get some new ones on.
And through the cycling of pit stops, the 9 has stayed on the racetrack. It hasn't put the 9 any closer to the 4. They're still a long ways away.
You know, the 9 is still hoping for that caution. They really need a caution to kind of square things up. This is basically your first, second, and third place cars right here. I would expect Denny Hamlin. He has nothing to lose, so he could either pit now and want to get on the strategy with everybody else, or he could run long and try to get opposite the strategy on their tires. You see the one peel to the left to come to pit road as Denny Hamlin continues on the racetrack.
Kurt Busch no longer a part of the playoffs. He was eliminated after the first round. Marty.
But having a nice run today, Rick. Car's been just a little bit too free for Kurt Busch as he comes down pit road. These 4 fresh Goodyear tires, very valuable. Should be the final stop of the day. And Steve, you posed the question a moment ago. What will Denny Hamlin do? Well, Chris Gabehart told him a moment ago on the radio, we're playing the long game. I think Hamlin's going to stay out as long as they can on this run. Still 32 to go.
The long game would be the plan that you think tires are more valuable. You're not worried about getting caught by a yellow. So run as long as you can and see if it works out for you. As we see Kyle Larson on the racetrack, let's listen into the 5 car.
We were aggressive on the pit lap there, so that may put us a quarter of a lap short to the end on fuel. Somewhere between a quarter short and 0. Just letting you know your pace is good, though.
Well, that didn't sound good to me. That makes me nervous. Look, Junior, you're laughing. I know nowadays they're so good at saving fuel, but man, why are we going to make it so stressful? Let's run one more lap. Cliff Daniels didn't seem very stressed, though.
You're a little short, but your pace is good.
But your pace is good.
Hey, wait, how is that possible? If I'm short, my pace ain't good. I need to dial it back.
Oh.
Well, you just wonder why cut it that close with this 5 car. I mean, why put yourself in that position, Steve? I get it. We're trying to maximize everything, but got a little bit of cushion here they can play with as far as points. Why put yourself in that position where you can run out of fuel?
17 pits from the lead, makes it 11 to Denny Hamlin, the leader. Look at that. William Byron is leading this race. He has already pitted. Excuse me, he was leading the race. He's already pitted, and he's still running inside the top 5. I mean, that's just how big of a gap he got after running around here under green.
Denny Hamlin and Matt DiBenedetto, who are running 1 and 2 right now, they have not been to pit road since lap 47.
Currently a 21-lap green flag run. So we talked about driver fitness. We always look at that whoop data, looking at their heart rate. This is where driver fatigue comes in. Car fatigue comes in. The brakes are now warm. The transmission's not working as good as it did at the start of the race. Have to keep that mental focus, make sure every shift is on point. Every mark that you hit, every braking mark matters. As we're on board with Denny Hamlin in the 11, we see the 9 of Chase Elliott's now coming to pit road as well. Dave.
Steve, one of the things they looked at when they were putting all the bear bond on the left rear of this race car was to obviously not cover the fuel fill. They, at one point, had a piece going over the whoop, took it just to the left there so that the fueler could get this fuel in. It appears to be taking fuel. You know how this works. Sometimes when you damage that part, it doesn't go all the way in, but he'll need every drop to get to the end here and maybe pull something great out of what's been a frustrating day.
Now, the only nerve-wracking thing for the 9 of Chase Elliott is because the 11 of Denny Hamlin has yet to have pitted, he's going to go by to Chase Elliott's right there, screen left. Denny Hamlin still leads, still has to pit. Chase Elliott leaving pit lane. I love that look you know, both the exit. So there you go. The 9 is now a lap down by that much. And behind Hamlin is William Byron, about 11 seconds back. So the 9 still has concern about losing the lap to his teammate.
But you know who's pretty close still to William Byron is Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick looking for his first ever win in the Cup Series.
Right before the pit stops, they were separated by 2.3 seconds. Reddick's closed that in a little bit. Byron a little faster this past lap, but Reddick has been the quicker car most laps and is keeping this pretty tight.
Speaking of tight, look at the points right at the cut line. Harvick now 2 points above Elliott after they have both been to pit road. Things are really tightening up at that cut line.
But you're going to have to remember, when William Byron assumes the lead when Hamlin pits, that moves him to the leader, and that moves Harvick down as well. So remember, that cut line moves with who's leading the race.
But look at that 8 cars. He sees the 24 right in front of him. Knows he's a little bit quicker if he puts the laps together, puts the corners together. Just have to wonder how hard is the 24 pushing, Parker.
Well, and that's been the conversation on the 24s radio. They've been telling him how aggressive that 8 has been driving, using all the curbs. I've been seeing it down here in the slash chicanes. He doesn't use it right there, but occasionally as you watch him launch on the exit there, he's using a lot of those curves. And I just love the position that Tyler Reddick has put himself in with this team. He told me earlier today, we want to be in position to win this race. I don't want to go for points. I've told the team we're not going for points. I want to be in position to win, and that's where you have him right now in second place.
Important battle right here, not for position, but for a lap. The 9 of Chase Elliott passes the leader, Denny Hamlin. Denny almost like, yeah, go ahead. I want no part. I'm looking at your car. I'm not sure what you've been into today, but I want no part of it. Go ahead.
I'm sure right now Denny is saying, what happened to Chase Elliott?
The only thing now is look at that back end of Chase Elliott's car as he goes through how rough that interior intersection of the racetrack is. It's shaking loose that back bumper, and now it's onto the racetrack. Now, you know, I don't know what the rule is, Steve, as far as what NASCAR is going to ask this team to do, but as that gets further and further separated from the car, what's the situation that puts him in?
Well, if it comes off, he's going to want it to come off in a place on the racetrack where it brings out a yellow. And then it's up to NASCAR whether they feel that that tail is a required part. It's required at the higher speed tracks. It's not required at the short tracks. Well, here you go. Denny Hamlin's going to lift, turn left, come on to pit road. So that's going to hand the lead back over to William Byron.
Byron just coming out of turn 4 here of the oval and into the front stretch chicane. And the gap pretty tight now between the 24 and the 8 as the 11 making his way to pit stall. Marty?
Denny Hamlin said his car migrated tight on entry, snappy loose on exit. He's been complaining about turn 8 being the biggest problem all day long. You saw the leaders flash by. So really Hamlin, once he missed that chicane earlier and served that penalty, kind of went back to 6. So we'll see where he cycles out after this stop and these 4 fresh Goodyear tires. See if putting them on about 4 laps later than everybody else is an advantage.
Steve, just as you mentioned, as we look at the points with Byron up front, that now moves Harvick and Chase Elliott below the cut line. Byron back out front. It's not going to have to come back to pit road. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop. You see the bumper flailing on the back of the 9 of Chase Elliott. That's because the bad blood from 3 weeks ago at Bristol has played out here at the Roval.
Kind of a chicken move he did there at the end.
Chase Elliott is not happy with Kevin Harvick.
Does that every week, tries to run into you and get a flat tire.
We're racing for the freaking win at Bristol when he throws a temper tantrum.
You in the 9, give me a 10.
The 4 got into the side of the 9. This sets the tone for the rest of the playoffs. And there's the 9 of Chase Elliott. And after there was communication between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick came out and said this. It was like talking to my son Keelan, who, a young man, it's identical. It's 100% the exact same scenario. They get hung up on one thing and you can't speak to them about the broader picture about how the whole thing works. It was like speaking to a 9-year-old. So Kevin Harvick didn't think it was over after he left Bristol. And now it has risen to this point where Kevin Harvick got into the back of the 9. The 9 got into the wall. Now there's damage, and both the 4 and the 9 are below the cut line.
And remember, at Las Vegas, NASCAR brought both Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick into the hauler pre-race to have this discussion. And that quote was one of many that proved to me that Chase Elliott was looking forward and Kevin Harvick was not any happier with the situation.
Steve, what happens if this bumper cover comes off?
Well, if it's fortunate enough to blow off the racing surface, NASCAR can continue and say it's not an issue. If it ends up somewhere where NASCAR thinks that it's in the way or could be a problem for everyone else, it'll create a caution. NASCAR also has the opportunity to look at this and black flag the 9. They have taken guys and made them come to pit road to clean it up. We'll just have to see what NASCAR thinks about the tail. I did ask, the tail is not required here. There is a question, you know, at some high-speed tracks, that body part is important for the rules and the aerodynamic package. Here at the Roval, it is not a required component, unlike the deck lid and the spoiler that the team has done a nice job of repairing. To their defense, though, Jeff, they did their best to keep the deck lid, or excuse me, the rear bumper cover on. It's just finally come loose.
Yeah, the biggest issue they have right now is you see Kevin Harvick and Alex Bowman battling on the front straightaway. But the biggest problem the 9 has right now is that they're about a second a lap slower than the leaders, and the leaders are only about 6 seconds behind them. So in about 6 laps, if they don't get some caution or Chase Elliott finds some speed, they could get a lap down.
And we're right above the flag stand. The flagman does not reach for the black flag. No intentions right now for NASCAR to black flag the 9 car. Marty.
I think Greg Ives is down to his last page in the playbook, Junior. He has kept Alex Bowman out there. They haven't pitted since lap 52. The only one who has not pitted in this sequence, just hoping for a caution, hoping the 9's bumper might come off, their teammate might help him out. But Alex Bowman still with the alternator issue, the battery hanging in, though, sitting in 11th, hanging on for all he's worth. They're hoping for a caution, though, that has not come out yet.
28 laps on this run. That's a long green flag run around the Roval. There are a lot of drivers that are praying that Chase Elliott's bumper comes off. They're wanting a caution. It's such a difficult racetrack.
There's Daniel Suarez making the move by Alex Bowman.
Daniel's done a good job today. Ran inside the top 10 earlier, showing great pace right there, working his way around Bowman for 11th. Dave, what you got on the 2 car?
Well, Junior, as you look at that graphic on the left, you keep your eye on Keselowski's green number and Harvick's red number. That's all that matters right now to the 2 crowd.
The race is a 4 car. He keeps passing guys, so we need to pass 1 for 1 here.
Keselowski's running 19th. Harvick is running 9th. Neither one in contention for the win. But as long as Keselowski passes a car, after Harvick passes a car, he can keep that gap.
We've seen at the Roval before. It comes down to a point here, a point there. We had that one huge tie that came down to the tiebreaker. So, you know, there's a yellow right here.
No bumper cover, and the caution has come out.
You give me odds on what the yellow's for?
No, I'm not giving you odds.
There it is.
Okay, so the caution has come out. Debris on the racetrack.
There you go. It finally loosened up enough where it blew off down the backstretch. No surprise, some of the high-speed crush panel comes out. A lot of issues for the 9. It looks like the fuel fill is still intact, so that'll be a good situation for the 9. And the 9 was able to stay on the lead lap in front of his teammate. So
Okay.
Take that playoff picture, take a mental image, because it's going to look nothing like that in 23 laps.
I was going to say, with 22 to go when they come back around, what's your strategy now? Especially if you're William Byron. You're up front, you're William Byron, what do you do?
Well, William Byron is staying on the racetrack. He's in a must-win situation. The last thing he's going to do is pit from the lead, in my opinion, with about 10 laps on the tires. We saw cars early in this race stay out on old tires and keep track position. But that point of where you pit becomes more complicated. William Byron, it's clear. But what about the playoff cars? We have Larson in 6th, all the way down to Brad Keselowski in 19th. We just heard the conversation. Harvick versus Keselowski. Now you put Chase Elliott into the mix. We saw yesterday where the 20 and the 10 both stayed on the racetrack in the end and eliminated the 10. I didn't like the call. I like the call of doing something different. At the top of the show, we said, hey, what could Rodney Childers do? Well, here you go. What Rodney Childers can do now is the opposite of the other playoff cars. If they stay out, bring Kevin Harvick in, put tires on it, and tell him, buddy, you got to go get the points. You're the champ. We've seen you do it. It hasn't been a great year. We don't have a winning car. All of that is just a story. It's time to perform.
So who, if you're Keselowski, is that who Harvick's looking at right now because he's the one in front of him?
Well, it's so close. You really got to look all the way up probably to Truex. I don't know if I would be that concerned about Logano and Blaney, even Larson, but Truex, Busch, Keselowski, Harvick, I'm racing all of them.
Yeah, because Chase Elliott's going to pick up. He can easily pick up a lot of spots. He's the last car in the lead lap. They dropped the green flag. He's going toward at least the middle of the pack. So you got to assume he's going to pass you as well. You got to pick up a lot of spots if you're Harvick.
Harvick's problem is he's in front of those cars that are ahead of him in points. So he has to make the decision to come to pit road before they do.
I would put tires on. And here's why. Kevin Harvick's in 9th. If he stays on the racetrack, it then becomes easy for those guys to say, thank you, I'm going to come get some tires. And now Kevin Harvick's playing defense. I believe the best defense is a great offense. Junior, you and I had this conversation yesterday. What's the one thing you didn't want to be? The last car on old tires.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what Harvick would be if he stays on the racetrack. Everybody behind him is coming to pit road. If he comes down, he drags everybody with him. You got to think the last half of from 15th on down, they're coming to pit road. They're going to all get tires. So be one of those guys. Come back out, have new tires, be on the offense. Give your driver the best opportunity to use the race car and drive forward. You can't do that on old tires.
We know this is going to end amazingly as we have so many different storylines that are playing out in front of us. Speaking of an amazing storyline, a week ago when Bubba Wallace went to victory lane at Talladega, what a great story that was. And earlier on the pre-race show, you heard Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin. They were with today's Craig Melvin talking about that win. That full interview is available on NBCSports.com as well as Motorsports on NBC YouTube.
Well, there's your analogy right there. There's nothing better than who's the guy that's going to take the final shot. Michael Jordan, you put the ball in your superstar's hand. If I'm Rodney Childers, as great as a team this is, there's your superstar. Your superstar is Kevin Harvick. So I'm going to put some tires on. I'm going to put the ball in my superstar's hands and be like, man, go out there and do the best you can. Shocked that William Byron's going to give up the lead. I think this is a very scary call for the 24. We'll see if other cars stay on the racetrack. But like you said, Dale Jr., he pulled a tremendous amount of leaders with him. Denny Hamlin, though, stayed on the racetrack, Parker.
Right, and Rudy Fugle wanted to put it in his driver's hands. He said, I think most will pit here, so we got to put tires on this 24 car in this must-win position. You see very little adjustments. Also, Kevin Harvick on pit road. He's been lacking rear grip and continues throughout the race in that Ford car, Marty.
Kyle Larson on pit road as well. They needed this caution. Also, they were so close on fuel. Like we talked about, Larson drove from 26 to 6th on the racetrack. The car clearly very good. Dave, the 9 is in front of you.
Last car on the lead lap. The 9 of Chase Elliott hits his pit box. Biggest concern for him here, a little bit of repair and fresh tires. They want to make sure those fresh tires don't get cut up by that damage.
Here, get that can. Get that can.
They work on the 9, and we'll be back for the restart. Coming up on 20 laps to go in the Bank of America Roval 400 from Charlotte. Fans, what a show they have in front of them. Getting ready for the restart, and a couple cars stay out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin decides to stay out, and that'll put him on the front row next to Matt DiBenedetto. Remember, Matty D, we talked a lot about playoffs. He doesn't have a job for next year, so a big win would go a long way for the driver of the 21. The 38 of Anthony Alfredo also stayed on the racetrack. I believe that Kurt Busch, Reddick, Byron, Larson all came to pit road. We will see who can use those tires as they make a little sprint for the finish here. 21 to go.
Fresh tires for the restart zone, and Hamlin and DiBenedetto back into the gas. 3 wide. Coming up here, Tyler Reddick charging up to the front.
He knew he had to dispose of that 38 car as fast as he possibly could, not get hung up behind the slower car of Anthony Alfredo. He does that. Races down into this turn 3 area. Beats the 21 car. Now he sets sail after the leader.
But look who's behind him. The 24, William Byron, was the leader. Now the 8's gotten in front of him.
But I'll give Rudy Fugle credit. I made it sound like I would never come to pit road because I wouldn't. He made a big gutsy decision to bring the 24 in a must-win situation to pit road, and I believe it was the right call. Even if he doesn't win this race, he's third with fresh tires. Great call by the crew chief.
Now he knows who he's racing. Those 2 in front of him. He's got to get by him if he wants to advance into the round of 8.
Tyler Reddick with fresher tires, trying to run down this 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Little twitch right there in the braking zone of the 8 car, really pressuring. A little smoke back there in the back of the pack. Oh, the 2 car spun out. Brad Keselowski goes around. Oh, he gets the car right. Very lucky situation, no contact.
This is a huge point story. Looking on the left-hand side, Keselowski drops. He's now in the red, 3 points behind. Harvick in, Elliott in, with positions to gain. Let's take a look at what happened.
Oh, the 42 locks up, but then they're just 3 wide. Just too many cars trying to funnel down into that area, and everybody doing what they can to not hit Brad. He's going to have to mail out a few thank you letters for that. He continues on, and he's just going to have to try to hope for a caution so he can be able to drive back through this field and gain some more points back. The leader, the race for the lead, has tightened up quite a bit, not just Reddick, but the 24 of William Byron is right there. William really putting the pressure on. Reddick's going to have to get by this 11 quickly, or he's going to have his hands full with this 24.
Oh, William Byron stay way right off of turn 6, trying to take advantage of it. Great battle between these 2 guys. William, a good run. Going to get some drafting help with that 5 car. That's going to help him down this back straightaway.
And I think Larson cuts him a break here. Anyone else can go 3 wide right here and try to outbrake this 24 into the braking zone, but I think Larson's going to cut him a break. Oh, Williams going to miss the. He's going to miss the chicane.
Stop.
Oh, Williams.
Stop all the way.
Oh, he still has to. Did he ever stop? I'm not sure he ever stopped all the way.
Yeah, he slowed. I'm not sure he came to a complete stop.
Regardless,
hit him in the back.
He's all the way back behind the 4 of Kevin Harvick in the 13th position. Let's see right here. Was it contact?
Yep, the 8 car hits him in the back. He's already too far into the braking zone to get the car slowed down. And now the 24, his opportunity at a must-win, pretty much gone.
NASCAR said he is good as far as stopping in that zone.
Well, now the question is, now that William Byron has lost the opportunity to lead this race with 18 to go, he still has a chance to get up there and win it. Currently in the 11th position, but what that does is put Brad Keselowski 2 points behind Kevin Harvick. Brad currently 30th in the running order. Kevin Harvick higher in 13th. Can they find the points? As you see behind the 24, Kevin Harvick is under attack right here.
Well, also on the attack because Harvick just passed another driver there, so that puts 3 points now. So the 2 of Brad Keselowski is going to have to go by someone else. So he's got to go by at least 3 cars now to get to a tie with the 4.
And Brad's got a lot of cars in front of him. You see him right there. He's going to run those guys down. Should be able to catch several of those cars before the end of this race, pass multiple cars. Harvick's going to have to find more track position. He's in a difficult situation to do that.
In a tiebreaker setting, they go back to the finishes in this round. And so far, it would go to Brad Keselowski. He has a 7th place finish and a 2nd place finish at Talladega. Harvick
9 and 8 so far. We go NASCAR nonstop.
Loose, sends the 7.
Caution is out, and it comes out the 52 of Joey Hand. Got around and wasn't able to keep going.
Yeah, it's like 3 wide. The 9 of Chase Elliott right there on the inside. Now it's 4 wide. They turn down, and the 41 gets loose, contacts the 7, sends the 7 up into the wall, and behind him, the 52 of Joey Hand making his first NASCAR start, doing a nice job in that Rick Ware car. He just gets spun around, big contact with the outside wall. Joey knows a lot about road course racing. He's won the 24 Hours of Daytona, 24 Hours of Le Mans, Dave.
The 2-car Brad Keselowski was turned around on the restart, remember, so they will get fresh Goodyear tires here and check for any damage. Brad thought he had some smoke in the car, but it was just sort of residual, and so there was no damage they could tell on that car, Marty.
Battery hanging in for Alex Bowman so far, but now they have some handling issues. Said it was almost like riding the jack post on the left side all the way through all the NASCAR corners. So the 48 not going to be the win for them that will put them through to the next round, but a valiant effort today to keep the car in the game all afternoon long.
Difficult into this round of 12. And a must-win situation for the 48 and 24 coming in. 24 just having an issue through the backstretch chicane, having come to a stop, serve that penalty. Saw the damage with the 9 of Chase Elliott. So for Hendrick Motorsports, it's been a tough go of it today. Kyle Larson also had charging issues. They had to come back to pit road, put a alternator belt on. It'll be an interesting post-race show, the NASCAR America post-race show on NBCSN following this race. We'll be able to hear from the drivers. Might be some more extracurricular activity like we saw after Bristol. A couple drivers definitely not happy with each other in this race already.
$16 laps to go at the Roval. I think it's worth reminding everybody, every point matters, and no point mattered more than for Kyle Larson. You're going to see right here, the 96 gets turned around. Kyle Larson, who's already been in an accident, video game style, which actually, now that I think about it, we're starting to see a trend with video games and Kyle Larson. He just stays in the gas, can't turn the wheel, hits the wall. That 1 point coming to the start-finish line was enough. Team owner Felix Sabatos was there to congratulate him. A very young appearing Kyle Larson. Continued on in the playoffs, and with 16 laps to go, sure, we probably could top that. I mean, we've seen everything so far. Why not?
Marty,
Boy, you just think about the day for Kyle Larson and this race team, what they've had to recover from. You mentioned the alternator issue. They were able to get the alternator belt back on during this race, changed the battery at one point. And how about the leadership from Cliff Daniels, calm the entire time. And on that last run before this caution, I mentioned it on the pit stop, drove from 26th to 6th. They honestly feel like they have the speed to win this race. Steve, it's kind of fun when it's a team win like this, isn't it? This team certainly has put forth the effort today. Now Larson here with a shot to win the race.
Well, I mean, there's a reason they've won 6 races this year, right? They never give up, continue to fight, and here he is in contention, closing laps.
A fighter. They added a lap. We'll be back for the restart after this. Coming up on the restart, it'll be 14 laps to go, and there have been so many things that have happened throughout this race. Yes, Kyle Larson in the 5. He's up in the front row. They've changed an alternator belt on that car. He's in contention. Denny Hamlin, who already knows he's on his way into the round of 8. He's up here fighting for a win as well and more playoff points. Green flags back in the air. Tyler Reddick in the 8, fighting for his first ever Cup Series win.
Look at the 5 to the inside of the 11. A little shallow on quarter entry, doesn't have the ability to stay there. The 5 of Larson putting the pressure on Denny. A little bit of bumper right there into turn 6.
Smartly, they get single file.
Right here, though, the 5 has the acceleration, sets up the pass for the corner exit, side by side. A little bit fresher tires on Larson's car. Could be helping him out here on this restart.
Preferred line as they go into the backstretch chicane. He's got the inside. They stay side by side. Now Hamlin has the advantage again.
It stacks everybody up behind them as they try to go through their side-by-side little block here by Larson. The 8 on the
apron. Reddick's on the apron. He can't stay down there. Contact. Larson would be wise to give this spot up. Does not need this spot. Focus on what your goal is. Wow.
Oh, and
Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, he's going to have to stop. He misses the chicane.
I can't believe that car made it. I thought for sure he had cooked that entry and was going to miss the chicane, but Tyler Reddick muscles his way by. He's raced Larson all his life in mini sprints and all sorts of race cars. They know each other pretty well. And that's
yeah, Reddick setting his sights now on Hamlin. Wants to get up there, wants to challenge for this win.
What about Chris Buescher back there in fourth?
They all go wide on the entry here to get a good run on this 11 car. Denny kind of offline here. The 8 has a chance to jump to the inside, doesn't do it. He backs up the entry, gets on the gas, accelerates, tries to get a run on the 11. Denny's going to come down the racetrack, take the preferred line away.
But all day long, Tyler Reddick has had incredible braking. Let's see if he tries to outbrake Hamlin.
He just looks to the inside just to give Hamlin the idea that he might try to dive down in there, see if he can get Hamlin to go into the corner, overdrive it. A lot of smoke back there top of the screen. A couple cars got together.
As we watch this battle for the lead, the battle for the playoffs continue. The 2 of Brad Keselowski right here. Well, coming into the front stretch, chicane gets on the brakes. The 42 makes contact with him. And then the 5 just gets stuck on the the 2 gets stuck on the outside. Comes under attack from the 37. You see the 1 accelerating after his stop for the penalty. And I'm telling you, the battle continues for Brad. He goes behind that banner, but he gets stuck behind the 1. Now the 42's attacking him. Currently 6 points out of the playoffs.
Brad Keselowski moving from Penske Racing this year to Roush Fenway in an ownership and driving role.
And you see right there he goes off driver left. That costs him 3 more points. As this battle continues for the race lead, there's another battle between Harvick and Keselowski.
And here comes the 5 once again. Larson to the inside of Reddick. He's going to take the spot away.
Reddick's going to try to cross him back over. Can't do it. Chris Buescher there trying to get underneath Reddick.
Oh, this is great for Denny Hamlin. You see him driving away as these guys continue to race.
They're fighting for second. Right now, Larson has it. Reddick fighting with Buescher for that 3rd spot.
Oh, a little contact right there. Buescher in the left for a quarter penalty 8. Reddick's going to take the spot back. Buescher, though, pushing the 8 car.
Harvick also into the mix.
Yeah, stuck behind the 3 of Austin Dillon. Losing a lot of spots.
And not too far behind the 4 is the 9 of Chase Elliott. Keep your eye on the bottom of the screen. What will Chase Elliott do if he gets to the 4?
Well, you're getting ready to find out because the 9 has a run on the 19 of Truex, and the 9 is going to force his way in.
Oh, the 4 is going to miss the corner.
He misses it into the DeWalt wall. Kevin Harvick hard. The right front of the caution comes out.
Heartburn turn, strikes again.
Yeah, Brian. Just walk the tire up, 1 straight.
And you see the flames from under the hood. Harvick will be jumping out of there quick. And more safety crew there to him.
Get out of there, top fire here.
He was above the cut line prior to entering turn 1. Into the wall, and now he's below the cut line, out of the car, and out of the possibility of advancing in the playoffs.
Yes, sir, it is.
That's the 9 radio. Chase Elliott has found his way close to the 4. Didn't get a shot to make contact if he wanted to. Basically, the 4 locked it up on his own, drivers.
Well, this was in the middle of chaos. Kevin Harvick was fighting really hard, drives into turn 1, just overcooks it, drives in there too deep, locks the left front tire up. Now it just can't turn. Missed that tire pack directly into the wall. Remember we saw Chase Elliott end that tire pack a few years ago, went on to win the race. Harvick got left of it and went into the concrete.
Once you lock up the tire there, you're in the fence, no question. There's no way you can get the car slowed down. Only way to get the tire to unlock is to get off the brakes. Either way, you're going in the wall at that point.
Watch your bottom now, watch your bottom. 19 to 1 back here. There you go. You're on the 22 wide here. 9 in line with you. Still there. Inside. It's got in the wall hard.
So obviously you just overcooked that corner, but look at it. Watch this wall. Look at that wall move, how it absorbs the energy. Something to happen on that restart. William Byron restarted 11th. He passed 5 cars, got himself up to 6th place. William Byron's not out of this thing. He had a great restart, got real aggressive. He needed a caution to get himself caught back up. William will restart this thing 6th with Harvick's wreck.
Well, on the other side of that, Brad Keselowski had a disastrous restart, and he had fallen well below the cut line. But Kevin Harvick's issue here now puts Keselowski well above at 19 points. The big question for Brad now is, will we see a winner out of Bell, Byron, or Bowman? Bowman doesn't seem to have it. To your point, Jeff, Byron is the most likely candidate, but not willing to rule anybody out with 10 laps to go. Bell is running 12th, Bowman 18th. We've seen more crazy here than anywhere else.
Byron's just going to have to get lucky because he's going to be on the outside of turn 1 on the restart in 6th place. He's just going to have hope nobody dives down in there, tries to go 3 wide underneath him. And Chris Buescher try to accelerate out of turn 1 in good position to continue to try to race on and move forward. That'll be a tough situation to restart in that outside line. It's a little bit dirty offline. All the cars have been running right on that curb into turn 1. Just offline, a lot of dirt, a lot of debris, no grip.
Lots of motivation, though. William Byron, with nothing to lose and everything to gain, can say the same for the 8 car and the 17 car. Both, they're both out of the playoffs, but both needing a win for their careers. They have very little care right now. And Larson better know it, right? Larson needs to understand the situation. He's good on points. You cannot let Tyler Reddick, you cannot let Chris Buescher put you in a position that you don't need to be in. What's the big picture? They didn't do it at Talladega. They got themselves in a wreck. They could have been riding behind the wreck and not had the stress here. You can't do it today. You cannot put yourself in that situation.
Since there have been elimination races, Kevin Harvick has never not advanced out of the round of 12 until today. This will be the first time that has happened. And you see the car on the record. Day done for Kevin Harvick, but it was an eventful one.
I have to imagine that the feud may be over. It's an unfortunate sort of end to Harvick's championship run. I feel like he thinks if he did anything intentional today, he took his shot. Wouldn't do anything going forward.
Well, you mentioned today what happened. 9 in front of him.
Yeah, if that was an intentional move, you have to think that, you get one shot at it, Harvick, and he took it. I think going forward, you won't see these two guys, shouldn't see these two guys giving each other a hard time. You never know. Martinsville, I've never left Martinsville without having seen something crazy. So you never know what you're going to see there. Dave.
Common theme I heard from crew chiefs was never leave my guy in a vulnerable position on old tires if I don't have to. So needing points, both the 9 of Chase Elliott and the 2 of Brad Keselowski are giving their drivers, are getting the Goodyear tires that can give them the best opportunity. Don't leave them out on old tires.
I like it. New tires. I can be aggressive. I can be on the offense.
And talking about the feud with Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott, I think that if Chase Elliott transfers to the next round, it's probably in his best just to let it go.
Exactly.
Right? Like if you don't get into the next round, well then you got to address it. But if he does, just let it go, move on, put it behind you.
Yeah, that's why I think it's done. Marty.
Well, Dale, what a crazy day it has been for Cliff Daniels and the 5 team. Here they are with a shot to win this race. If I'd have told you in the middle of stage 2, as you're trying to get that alternator belt on, you would have a shot to win this race, what would you have told me?
I probably would have said you were crazy. And, at first I'm thankful to have a FastCenterCars.com Chevrolet. Steven Legendre and Jesse Saunders are the 2 guys that changed the battery, changed the alternator belt. I would not trade them for anything in the world. So thankful to have those guys on our team. hopefully it's a clean race to the end. I think it's going to be fun racing the 11 and racing the 8. We've got to be tough, make the right moves, but we'll see how it goes.
Even if it's not a win today, Cliff, when it's a team effort like this, is it more significant for you as the leader of this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big deal for our team. We've proven this year that, we can be fast and run up front. And I think at some point of the year, you got to show that you can be battle tested. And I think this round of the playoffs has certainly battle tested us. Super tough day today. So proud of this team, proud of our guys for hanging tough. Now we just got to be there at the end.
A lot of mentions of the team there, but Steve, let's give credit to this guy too. The coach has to lead the team, right? Cliff Daniels did a fantastic job of that today, win or no win.
You got to lead them, you got to keep everyone calm, give good direction. Cliff Daniels did that. On the left-hand side, you see the points. And while that cut line looks safe at 19, just remember, that's with William Byron below the cut line. If William Byron moves up, the cut line basically moves right there. It's very close between Truex and Brad Keselowski, so really watch this 24 on the restart. If he gets the lead, the cut line will move. And when you talk restarts, Rick, we've had some crazy ones here, so nothing is out of the question of the Roval.
That DeWalt wall is not safe. Junior called it heartburn turn. It has been that for many drivers. So now it's Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson once again making up that front row. Hamlin, the race leader, coming into the restart zone. Everyone through turn 1. Larson on the back bumper of the 11.
William Byron cleared Logano for 5th. Look here, Larson, crossover move, really aggressive into the entry of that turn. He's going to take this lead away. He runs the 11 wide.
Into the grass, and so Larson takes over the lead. Here comes Tyler Reddick. Now Denny Hamlin falls back to 3rd. He's got Chris Buescher behind him in the 17. William Byron in the 24 now to the back bumper.
See William Byron in that 24 gets a good run. Going to be side by side with Chris Buescher. Look at actually clear him.
Look at the distance, though, that Larson's already put on second place. Tyler Reddick. Not a good sign for William Byron. Tyler Reddick, can he drive down this 5 car? Does he have enough pace in that 8? He's been quick all day long.
I cannot believe William Byron just made that pass. He came from way behind the 11 for the 11 car.
Had a boy.
I just cannot believe he was able to outbrake him that far.
I think Denny Hamlin realized that this was a battle he did not want to be in the middle of.
Buescher's going to run him very tight as they enter the front stretch chicane.
Hamlin almost wrecked it right there.
Buescher aggressively getting by the 11, and the 11 dropping back. Now the 18 of Kyle Busch goes by.
Big damage to the front end of that 22 car.
And you're right, Junior. Big damage for the 22.
The hood is destroyed.
And you saw the 11 and the 22 get on the wrong side of that curve, but by rules, they got 2 tires over it, so therefore not shortcutting. Right here you see the contact. 22 gets into the back of the 11, but the fact that the 11 and the 22 got their right side tires on that blue curving, as awkward as it looks, by definition, they did not miss the corner.
The biggest problem right now for Logano in that 22 is just visibility. You see the back of the hood, how far it's raised up? He's pretty good on points. I don't think it's an issue there.
The gap between first and second, 1.2 seconds. Then William Byron, 1.7 seconds back. Byron charging hard.
That's the question. That's the battle, Junior, I'm looking for is William Byron. His playoff hopes are between him, Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson. He has to win this race.
And if you're Brad Keselowski, you have to assume William Byron's going to win. That would put you below the cut line right now. You're 4 points behind Martin Truex Jr. You've got to go find 4 positions because William Byron is fast. He's coming.
Yeah, he's closing in on this 8 car, especially in the infield section of the racetrack. I think he's a little bit faster than Reddick right now. Reddick also closing in on the 5. I mean, all these guys are kind of tightening up right here. We head into the infield course.
William Byron, relatively soft-spoken, quiet young man. I don't think he's going to be anything like that if he gets to the rear bumper of the 8. I think Tyler Reddick's going to be the same way, looking for his first career win. Both of those two hungry, and surprisingly, even with 6 wins, I don't think Kyle Larson cares about either of them. He's looking for his 7th win of the season.
William Byron driving hard as he can right now, trying to get to the back bumper. I think he has to dispose of this 8 car quickly, even if he has to get aggressive. He's got to get there first.
I like the angle, though. The 24 takes through that corner right there, Jeff. He gets a great acceleration off turn 8.
Yes, he does. He's pushing that car. You can see it sliding all over the place.
5 more when you get back. 5 to go.
He's found the limit. I know you got to find a little bit of speed, but he's at the limit already. If he tries to step it up anymore, he's going to get himself in trouble.
Right here at turn 11, we have seen the 24 make up a lot of ground. That time, Tyler Reddick was able to keep the gap between the two about the same.
I think William Byron's probably going to need a caution here. But he's highly motivated.
But there's also so many places to slip a car or slip a tire for the two in front of them.
Well, we know that Tyler Reddick's at his limit also. He's pushing as hard as he can. Will he overstep his bounds?
Now less than 5 laps to go. Larson looking for another 5 playoff points. That would almost guarantee him a spot in the championship 4.
Up the hill in the 6th, see a lot of guys slip right here. Everybody through clean. Williams cutting those corners, chopping the entry as much as he can, trying to eat into the distance between him and the 8 car. It hurts him a little bit on corner exit. Right here in acceleration, the 8 kind of stretches away. William trying to chop the entries, dive in on corner entry a little shallow.
If he gets to Tyler Reddick, remember Tyler Reddick is the one that shoved him into the rear chicane and put him in this position to have to go make this up. So there'll be little patience if he gets there.
All right, here's a replay of that incident on the back straightaway. The 8 car getting in the back of the 24 in the braking zone of the chicane. Caused William to miss the chicane, have to come to a stop.
A little bit of lockup of the 5 of Larson. You can tell how hard he's pushing the car.
All these guys, Letarte, we see that. All of them are pushing to the limit. Who?
Truex
won't make the mistake.
That's important because now that's going to move Truex to the bottom of the green cars. That means if Byron takes the lead and can win the race, that would eliminate Truex instead of Keselowski.
Points moving all the time. It was the 52. Joey Hand got into the back of the 19, and the 19 spins around. He loses enough spots. Now he's on the bubble as far as potentially missing out on the next round of the playoffs if William Byron can get up here and win this race. Now less than 4 laps to go. William Byron still almost 2 seconds back from Larson.
The last couple of corners, or last couple of laps, Reddick's been quicker than Byron.
And Larson's been quicker than both of them.
Can't quite get there. So close.
That was from the spotter to the crew chief.
That, nobody's made a mistake. You know, these are young guys, Tyler Reddick, William Byron. Larson, this is a unique situation for him to be deep into the playoffs with a championship opportunity. That's a lot of pressure, but none of these guys are cracking. Nobody's sliding a tire, nobody's missing a chicane yet.
You had to add that. Tyler Reddick, just 25 years old. William Byron, 23. 3 laps to go. Kyle Larson out front, the 29-year-old from California, looking for win 7 on the season.
You know, if William Byron does not advance out of this round, he can still take a tremendous amount from this playoffs. He brought his best. He brought a lot of speed. He brought good decisions. Really, the trouble he's got into were things out of his control. It's not going to make you feel better because with that much speed, you want to be able to advance, but he can use this moving into the future. Look at that line right there. Love that line he takes. Got that from Chase Elliott. Chase does such a good job of that. It helps him with this part of the racetrack. See that gain he made on him? Overcooked it right there.
Yeah, big slide right there into turn 8, Jeff.
He gained a lot on Reddick in 6. Reddick went wide, but he tried to get a little bit too much going into 8 there. And that bit him. It's not been a great corner for him the last couple of times through, trying to get too much on corner entry.
Remember, William Byron in 3rd must win to advance in the playoffs. If he does win, it moves the cut line. That would currently eliminate Truex, who is only 1 point behind Keselowski, now 2 as Keselowski makes another pass on the racetrack. Kyle Larson, though, what can you say about this 5 car? Went to Talladega. We thought he was fine, had a huge points lead, had an accident at Talladega, came in here vulnerable. But we talked about it at the top. I was thinking we want to see the Kyle Larson we've seen all year. Well, that's what we've got. This team had anything but a smooth race. They had electrical issues. They changed an alternator belt on pit road, and now has driven all the way back up for a chance to win his 7th race of the season.
He won earlier this year in the playoffs. That was at Bristol after the dust up between the 9 and the 4. And now out front here under 2 laps to go from the Roval. When we talked to Kyle Larson a couple races ago, he said, I don't expect Byron's off. Byron into the grass.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Come on. Still green. Still green.
Contact.
Just, you know, the only way he was going to advance was to get to Tyler Reddick, try to get by him, and just pushed a little bit too hard.
Tires are clear. It'll make laps.
You hear the information. Tires are clear. It'll make laps. Yeah, you listen. If you're ever going to be okay with a mistake like that, it's when everything's on the line. He had to find the edge and hope it would stick, and apparently he went over the edge.
That allows Chris Buescher into 3rd place. An incredible run for Chris Buescher here late in the season. His best of the year.
Yeah, William Byron was shooting a half-court shot with 1 second left on the clock. Just can't blame him for trying.
Speaking of 1 second, 1 lap to go now. The final lap from the Roval for Kyle Larson. I mentioned we talked to him earlier, and he said, I'm not expecting to win this championship. I know I have to go out there and fight and get it. There's where the 24 of Byron got off track and into the wall in the infield. Well, Kyle Larson is going after it here in the round of 12. Coming in, Kyle Larson had 60 playoff points. Those are the only things that will advance into the next round with you. 60 points is the maximum number of points you can earn in one race. So he has almost a 1-race advantage going into the next round.
He's going to have more now. Very impressive, Kyle Larson. I think what's most impressive for me, Rick, is the style of tracks. I would never have pegged Kyle Larson a road course racer, but this will be the 2nd one of the year that he's proven that he can best some of the best road course racers we have seen.
And getting some of their momentum back. Bad strategy at Vegas. Got in a wreck at Talladega. Before that, they weren't running great. Getting some of that back for this next round of playoffs.
And what a season it has been for Kyle Larson. He is going to become the first driver ever in the Cup Series to win 3 road course races in the same season. Kyle Larson, through the chicane for the final time, he will win at the Charlotte Roval.
Today, guys, I did not see us winning. Way to keep our heads in it all day long.
Tyler Reddick 2nd, Buescher 3rd.
I am so proud of this team. Stephen and Jesse, pit crew, you guys are amazing. Guys back at the shop. HinderCars.com, Hendrick Automotive Group Chevrolet.
Remember, they were under the hood a couple times, Steve.
Yeah, it was anything but a smooth week for this team, but Cliff Daniels right there, the crew chief. We talked about it. They had some adversity. He led the organization. The mechanics did an amazing job with the plan that he laid out. He was great on the radio, calm on the radio. You see the 8.
Cliff, stay calm. Pit crew, awesome job too.
What a run. And now he'll celebrate in front of the crowd here. Not only in the infield, but also in the front stretch grandstands. The uniqueness of this racetrack, utilizing the 1.5 mile oval with the infield part of this track. Seven wins already in 2021. His first year driving for Hendrick Motorsports. And he comes to the front stretch. And now he'll do the burnout to the fans right here at the start-finish line. ran 96 races between dirt races, short tracks, wing sprints, so many different types of race cars and races that he was running in. He won 85 of those 96 races. The winning ways started a year ago, and they have continued on into 2021. The crowd letting him know. 7 wins, an impressive season already, Marty.
What an improbable win for Kyle Larson and the 5 team, and I think you have to include the team when you talk about this win today for Kyle Larson, 7th of the season. And what a way also to go into the round of 8. Going to go collect the checkered flag in front of the fans here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Love the word or the phrase Cliff Daniels used, battle-tested win for this race team today. Man, if I'd have told you in the middle of stage 2 as they were changing the alternator belt, you would win this thing, what would you have said?
I wouldn't have believed him, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know. I didn't even really feel that good early. Started changing some things up there, doing a good job, letting me know what to do inside the cockpit to get better. And then about that time, I noticed my battery was going low, so I was getting stressed out. Like, man, I'm not going to get knocked out of the playoffs like this, but it wasn't looking too good. And thankfully, everybody on our 5 car did a great job of staying calm. Cliff, as always, did a great job communicating with me what was going on, getting us changed, the battery changed, the alternator, whatever it takes to get it changed to get our battery staying running. But man, my HendrickCars.com Chevy was good. William was obviously really good, so it's a bummer to see that not work out for him. But I think the 9 ended up making it. So heck, that was some great perseverance by that team too. So just an awesome day for Hendrick Motorsports, and glad to get another win, and looking forward to the next round a lot.
Much less with the win. Were you aware at times today you were below the cut line and going to miss the next round?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously had a pretty good idea. I've gone through it here a few years ago in the 42, and when you think you're good and then all of a sudden you're running like 40th, you're like, well, I'm down below the cut line. So I knew I was going to have some sketchy moments, just had to pick my way through traffic and stay calm, and we had some good restarts there at the end. Was able to kind of use my tire advantage to get under Denny and kind of squeeze him out of real estate off of 4 there. So fun racing with Tyler. He's one of the best there is under braking. So I don't like racing him because he's so good and so hard to race and pass. So just a fun race there and a lot of craziness all day long.
After a tough start to this round, Rick, look out. The 5 team has some momentum headed into the round of 8.
Definitely the thrill of victory there. The agony of defeat goes to the guys who don't advance into the round of 8. That's Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Alex Bowman. Those all eliminated. But these are now the 8 that will be fighting for the next 3 races to see who will make it into that championship race. We mentioned playoff points advancing into this round. 4,065 points already for Kyle Larson as he starts almost a whole race over the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who's at the bottom of that list. We are here until 6 o'clock. We're going to hear from plenty more drivers, those that have advanced into the next round, as well as those that did not make it into the next round of the playoffs. A great battle for Kyle Larson. He fought with not only the mechanical issues of his car, but also the most talented drivers in the world on the racetrack right here at the Charlotte Roval. Kyle Larson wins it at the Roval.
Going on for what is the celebration of that beautiful trophy that Speedway on in. And the trophy presentation will be part of what Monica will be doing down there in victory lane. You'll get to see that as Larson's car comes in. And now all the shooters, all the professional photographers and videographers from news organizations around the country and the globe are down there to greet the winning driver for the Bank of America Roval 400. You see them trying to get him just where he needs to be so that all the photos, Mr. Hendrick coming in to shake hands with him. That's a happy bunch of people down there, Monica.
All right. Next Sunday on NBC, it starts the round of 8. That is the first opportunity for one of the 8 drivers to win their way into the championship pool. Race coverage beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern. And the first one out of the playoffs, we saw him hit the turn 1 wall, and that was Kevin Harvick. He came out of the infield care center, and Parker was there.
Kevin Harvick released from the infield care center. Kevin, what happened down in turn 1 there?
I just pushed it in there too hard, and I got the tire locked up, and I couldn't stop it. Once I felt like I needed to go to get a couple of spots back that I'd lost, and I got the left front locked up, and I couldn't get it to turn.
And the incident with the 9 early in the race, was that retaliation for Bristol? Spinning out the 9, Chase Elliott?
You know, sometimes real life teaches you good lessons.
Are you guys even? That's all for Kevin Harvick.
The final tally will show Chase Elliott finishing in the 12th position. That kind of wasn't the story of the day. What was going on out there between you and Harvick?
Oh, I'm not sure, but really proud of our team, and just proud to be moving. Our Napa team did a really, really good job of fixing this thing. I mean, it's destroyed, and I think we finished, where we finished?
12th.
12th, so yeah, I mean, our team has a lot of fight, and I'm just super proud of that. As far as Kevin goes, just want to wish them a merry off season and a happy Christmas.
Your opinion of him wasn't too high after Bristol. I take it this does nothing for that.
I mean, opinions is certainly not changing, but it's all good, and just glad to be moving on. Proud of our team.
Is it over, and can you race around him and win the championship without worrying about what's going on with him?
Well, for us, I mean, we're just eyes forward and just excited to be moving on. I mean, that's the big picture, and that's really all that matters to me and our group. So we'll keep fighting and see where we end up.
You mentioned your team. A day like today seems to go a long way toward building some muscle for you as a group. Was today important to come back?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to overcome adversity. Fortunately, it was early enough in the race where we were able to fix it, and got to caution, was able to keep fighting. So just really proud of that, and we could have easily given up or not fixed it to the proper standard and had something break or had a tire rub. So everybody just did a really good job today, and I'm super proud of that. Coming off of a really fast car, I thought we had a shot to win, and obviously that didn't happen. But in the grand scheme, moving on is the most important thing, and our season's still alive, so I'm pumped. That's right. They gathered the points. They're on to the round of 8.
Thanks, Dave. And Steve, as we hear Chase Elliott, we hear Kevin Harvick, I don't think we should lose what the 5 teams' mechanics did, how difficult that was. They end up in victory lane, but they had to change an alternator belt in the middle of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like special teams or like a kicker. You don't know when you're going to be called upon. The pit crew knows they're going to go over the wall to perform. The mechanics, they're hoping the work is done for the day. They don't expect to go over a pit wall. But when they were asked to do it, they had a great plan. They executed the plan. So many things could go wrong. They prevented it, and therefore the 5 was able to stay on the lead lap and in the end bounce back and get that win.
Yeah, Kyle Larson gets his 7th win of the season, so the celebration will continue for him. So, drivers, I want to bring you in. We heard from Kevin Harvick. We heard from Chase Elliott. Both of them haven't really given us a definitive answer if it's over. Do you think it's over?
Yeah, I think it's over. I mean, Kevin, got his shot in today. Feels like Chase deserved one, and they let the chips fall where they may the rest of the race. And Chase is definitely wanting to move on and put it behind him. He doesn't want to continue this feud because it does him no good in trying to win another championship. So I think it's over. But these elimination races are insane. I mean, the emotions that all these drivers had to go through today. William Byron sitting there thinking he might win this race in advance, and then making the mistake he made, and how he's got to go home and figure out how to turn that around. If you aren't on your phone or online with somebody at Martinsville trying to get a ticket to that race, I don't know what you're thinking. I can't wait till we go to this next round. We go to Texas and then Kansas. Martinsville's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, this was a great race today, but now all the drivers and teams, they got to change gears, and they got to get ready for Texas. They got to find a way to put this madness of the Roval behind them and start the next round of the playoffs. You know, Kyle Larson, what he and his team did today, amazing. We were thinking they weren't going to finish a race. They go on and win the race. That's huge momentum going into the next round.
Momentum, the key word there. And post-race coverage is going to be coming up just after the Breeders' Cup on NBCSN. Make sure to join us there. What a race, what a day. And the Charlotte Roval never disappoints. Kyle Larson, through adversity, able to get his 7th win of the season, but a big win here at the Charlotte Roval. The fight between the 9 and the 4, who knows if that's over. Make sure to tune in next week for that one. Kyle Larson wins in Charlotte.